You're listening to Well, I Laughed, Part 3 of Naughty or Nice, listener episode.
In the spirit of all of this too, this has absolutely become my safe space because Maya and I just did rounds of like interpersonal this
Insane.
that whatever and at one point I was like, Maya, I like really do not talk about my emotions. You hear about them the most out of everyone in my life, and even you like only really kind of get headlines a lot of times.
I feel like I glean a lot more.
Yeah. And you see
You
me
say a lot of things in subtext.
See, you're critically reading the book. You're not Craig.
There is text if you look small, or if you look hard enough that's in between the lines.
Yeah, it's the facial expressions. Yeah. It's also all the things I say to you off air before we get on air.
Yeah.
We're gonna do some stories. I think we have a couple. We have a lot. In the world of, since I'm being vulnerable right now,
And he hates it.
and this, I'm appreciative of it right now.
Okay.
I have not been a great curator of our Patreon recently.
Our Patreon.
Yes, like
Okay.
in terms of like responding to messages and like comments and things like that. Very much sorry about that. Very much on my never-ending list of things to do. And I'm going to try to be better in the months ahead, but know that it was not for lack of trying in the months behind.
Just let me know, and like I can do some of that while I'm editing. Like
Sure.
that, especially if I'm editing Patreon, I'm already in Patreon and I don't actually have to Grant, you just need to tell me when you're
You do so much already.
I understand that and I don't care. Just let me know when you're struggling and I jump in. Give me your hand.
Let
Give me
you
your
know
hand.
when I'm
Give me your hand. Give
It's
me your
been so
hand.
wonderful. 89 episodes. Get away from me. Don't touch me right now.
Number
I love you. Don't.
Okay. Number of times Casey and I looked at each other like this last week and just like touched each other and we're like, hey, no.
No, exactly.
It was good. It was good.
Good.
Yeah.
I said that to my brother about something recently. I shared the story already. Never mind.
Okay. I have a really random question that has to get cut. Maya, Casey, whoever.
Maya, Grant. It's just funny for you to throw it in there sometimes. Go ahead.
Does your mom check her Instagram?
Does Teresa check
Yeah.
her Instagram? Almost never, I'm
Okay.
assuming. Why?
Is she on Facebook?
Oh, of course Teresa's
Okay,
on Facebook.
excellent.
But
No, I just have something I'm working on. Don't worry about it. I just had to ask.
do you just want my mom's phone number?
I mean, yeah, that would make things easier.
Hold on. Are you trying to message my mom or my dad?
Your mom.
Because my dad's going to see it.
That's fine.
They have a shared account.
Oh, that's okay.
Well, hold on. Let's see here. Does she follow you?
She follows me on Instagram, yeah.
I think shoot her a message that way. Honestly, probably better chance that yeah, okay. I'm looking at what they post. She's been posting more recently. Look at her.
It might be because if you post on Facebook, it'll post on Instagram for you and vice versa.
I don't think my mom likes Facebook anymore because of all the conspiracy theories.
Okay.
So I would do me a favor. Do Instagram first. Let
And
me
then
know.
I'll let you know if she
Yeah.
responds. Okay, cool.
We're back. So yeah, I'm trying to think what has been happening this week. It's my first finals week at my new school, and I hate to say it, but they've cracked the code.
Yeah?
They're doing it right.
How so?
Normally our classes are 50 minutes, except for our weird long day
Right.
system.
Yeah.
So normally our classes are 50 minutes. They're giving us an hour and 5 minutes per class this time around.
Oh, okay.
And there's 7 classes. So today is a Monday. We had 3 today. We'll have 2 on Tuesday. And then we'll have 2 more on Wednesday. And then Thursday is a day to come in if you bombed your final and need to retake it, or hey, I was sick and need to reschedule something.
Okay.
Thursday's your day to do it. Obviously, as teachers are doing a lot of grading because their grades are due on Friday.
Oh, gotcha.
And so it's just so nice to have the flexibility. And also for our students, you had the weekend to prep for 3 classes. Those are done. Now you have the evening to prep for just 2. Those will be done. And then you have the evening again to prep for the other 2. And that just feels like a really humane way of handling what can be at times really intense finals.
I do feel like that is kind of how my high school handled it. I'm trying to remember because it gets so convoluted with college.
Right.
But I always remember appreciating that style where it's just It's very spread out. Like at mines, at least, and I think most colleges, they
Right.
like publish a final schedule, and they're like, if you're in this class, you're in this room taking this final on this day.
Right.
But you could have like a week or like 2 days between finals, and that was nice.
So
The panic
Yes.
right before the final you're worried about is what I'm talking about.
So today I had one of my smaller like interp acting classes, and it was one of the advanced groups of kids. So mostly juniors with like a handful of sophomores and seniors. And so they wrap up their final pretty early, right? There's not a lot of testers anyways. They wrap up their final pretty early. They have nothing else to do. I mean, of course, we can practice and stuff. Like, we can always be practicing.
Yeah.
But I'm feeling really good with where we're at our preparation level. And we're not at the season quite yet to, like, turn on the afterburners and, like, really go for it, right? Like, you got to kind of time it right or they're going to hate their piece before
Right.
they actually get to some of
Right.
those moments.
Yeah.
And so my co-teacher brought in a Nintendo Switch. And we hooked it up on the board.
Nice.
And it was
Nice.
huge. And so they were playing Mario Kart, and there would be 4 of them playing, and whoever got last out of the 4 had to give up their controller so like the next person could sub in. And
Oh, that's beautiful.
oh, you correct.
Yeah.
But it's extra beautiful in this way.
Yeah.
And all I'm saying is that sometimes stereotypes are
true.
stereotypes for a reason. They didn't come out of nowhere. And while we can all contain multitudes, we can also all fall into buckets, okay? So like our like resident straight boy in
Yep,
that class,
yep.
reigning champ, like basically doing the
Casey.
race
Yeah.
backwards with a mirror with like
Yeah.
one thumb, still smoking everybody. Then a bunch of like gamer girls who are holding themselves up very respectfully.
Hell yeah.
And then just my cadre of queers circling
Yes.
through
Yeah.
the fourth place
yeah.
position. Just a lot of weight am I going,
Nice.
and just to watch all of my sweet, sweet young queerlings just struggle to drive was just so accurate. So I've never seen more blue shells in my entire life than I did today. And I'm doing that thing too where I'm like trying to grade the rubrics
Yeah,
because
but
I'm
still
like
watching, yeah.
right, because I'm like, if I can do work now, then I don't have to do work later,
Yeah.
and I can read my book. We posted on Instagram today what kind of teacher is Grant
Yes,
like during his
yeah.
prep time. The correct answer is reading all of the
Yeah.
time, or during the debate season, the like wild teacher that is actually using his prep to prep because I have to.
I
hate
saw the
that.
one doing push-ups, and I was like, no.
I know. Anyway, so last thing I'll say, because
Yeah.
I want to also talk about that real
Yeah.
quick. So that was fun and wonderful, and they had a great time. And I had all of their finals in front of me. So if anyone walked in, I'd be like, "We did a final today," and like they can all explain to you how it's aligned to our objectives and everything.
Yeah.
Like, I did a good thing.
Yeah.
We just don't have that many kids.
Fair enough.
So on the Instagram video,
Yes.
which was like, "What kind of teacher are you during prep?" One of them was the exerciser.
Yes.
And everyone's like, "Does that even exist?" Yes.
Oh, no.
To keep this person nameless.
So you're co-teacher?
It's you've never met him yet. You will love him.
have.
You have?
Yeah, briefly after we went to see the musical.
That's right. That's right. He was like very
Hilarious.
professional
I'm
and stuff. You'd be
obsessed.
obsessed with
Yeah.
him.
I'm
Yeah.
already obsessed.
Correct.
Yeah.
More on that later.
Yeah.
It's not him, but it is
Okay.
someone that I work with regularly. He would just go on a run during his plan period. He'll just go on a run because we're right next to a public park. And I think that's great.
Oh, that's true though.
Uh-huh.
I might be one of those.
Right. Well,
If my school was
to make
there.
sure no one is keeping too close a tabs on his
Oh.
whereabouts, he comes in and out through a window.
Never mind. Never mind. That's hysterical.
And I will keep him anonymous until the day I die. And also, I'm almost positive that the decision makers either know that fact about
Yeah.
him or know enough facts that they know that that's the kind of person he is,
yeah.
and he gets great work.
Yeah.
He gets results.
as
you
long
know?
as he's doing his job, as long as he's doing
And
his
that's
job.
what I really do love working at a school in which all the teachers stay until they die or retire, and like
Yes.
they spend like 3 decades
Yes.
there. Is like you really do get to see what madness can kind of do to a person. Like they're all like creative, insane powerhouses when it comes to their
Yeah.
own content. Like they just sent out this brochure, and it was like English department teachers, which I still qualify as. I'm certified
wild.
by the state of Colorado to teach it. I know.
It's
they're
crazy
like
because sometimes you mispronounce words in the craziest ways.
philosophical, aristocracy, friendship.
Stanley Tucci.
Anyways, they were like, apply to this position, go to London, learn Shakespeare for like the summer, right, or whatever. And half of the English department was like, I did this X number of years ago, life-changing, you're going to love it. And it's like, to be at a school where like half of the English department has done a
this?
Shakespearean residency, I'm just like, brava.
Where do I sign up?
Well, I go, sorry, go ahead.
No, I we're on the same page.
So, great, okay. Yep. And we're back. Where do you want to go, Maya?
To a gay wedding.
You do. You absolutely
Yes, I
want
know.
to go.
I know.
I've been to so many lesbian weddings and so few gay men weddings. And then when I remember that, I actually do feel better about my own current circumstance right now. But yeah, you definitely want to go to a gay wedding.
I do think most of my like current gay friends have like come out later in life. And so I think they're like redoing that like early 20s stage of like figuring out what they like and dislike. So I think right now is getting into the big phase of my life where I'm going to go to a lot of straight weddings. Yeah. And I think maybe like right after that will be the gay wedding.
Yes, because I'm now at that turn.
See?
Yes.
Okay.
And
my hypothesis is working.
You are correct, because what you are referring to is called the queer adolescence.
Yes.
Which, for those of you who don't know, it's like I couldn't live this truth version of myself when I was in my adolescence. And so now that I am living my truth, I'm going to kind of turn back the clock a little bit, which is why Cher's Brown,
back.
If I Could Turn Back Time.
Yeah.
Have you listened to Cher's new Christmas song?
I'm sorry. What?
We're going to have to probably have a copyright issue or something, but I need to play part of this for you.
Okay.
I was feeling just kind of like a weird mood this morning, like just kind of tired, worn down, not sad about anything, but just kind of like.
It's been a week.
Yes.
It's been a couple weeks.
So first starts off so strong.
That's already.
But then. I might have. And then I'm going to try to get to the part where.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that changed my entire outlook on life this morning.
We probably had to cut that. You're going to have to go look it up.
Probably. Before YouTube
It's
absolutely flags
incredible.
the entire episode.
Yeah.
I know. Welcome to your queer adolescence.
I've been living it.
Good.
That's wild.
Yeah. So anyways, I invited Maya to the pre-part of a queer wedding weekend that I'm doing in the winter. And she's like, you drive a hard bargain, and I'm definitely very interested in it, which is good because one, I really want a partner for that first part because I don't want to go to that event alone.
Fair.
So
yeah.
Dope. Thank you. Second, when I invited my dad to the pre-part of a queer European escapade with several of my gay friends, my dad said, no, I don't want to go if I'm not invited for the whole thing. And I was like, Greg, I promise you do not want to be
there for the whole
in Mykonos in Rome with us.
Yeah.
Like, I love you so much. And I love you so much, I'm inviting you to a week in Ireland with me.
Yeah.
But believe me, you're not ready for Santorini.
Yeah. You've just now learned how to be homophobic in the right way. Like, we're not...
No, and he really
the phrase
has.
that you actually said on the Patreon that I just edited.
It's actually really incredible to watch all of my family step into that a little bit more.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm feeling seen. Yeah. I feel like they're holding space for me.
The lyrics of
Defying Gravity. Thank you so much. We need to make sure that stays alive in 2025, which is when they're hearing this.
Oh, so fuck me.
It's our first episode of 2025.
No.
Did that one come on January 1st or December 31st?
It would have
come. January 1st.
So this is the second.
Yep.
This is the second episode.
Hi,
of
welcome back. Hope it's still around.
Yeah. Hope the United States is still here.
Yeah.
Hope we're still here. You never know.
I saw this TikTok of Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson starring as a supporting cast member on a Broadway show.
I did see that.
And she looks like she's having so much fun.
Was it on like
I think it's a musical.
Yes, it is. It was Cabaret.
No, it was not.
Chicago?
No.
It was one of those like OG ones, I thought. Or no, it was Anne Juliet.
I think it's a more modern one.
I think it's Anne Juliet.
Okay.
I think I saw that
Anyways,
headline.
the person the account that I first saw it on retweeted the video and said, it's all about to end soon, so live your dreams.
That's Biden right now, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I'm going to go ahead and walk away. Oh, that hit a little too close to home.
Yeah, it was Anne Juliet. Because that's the one that Charlie D'Amelio is on right now.
That's a person?
Charlie, she was one of the like first TikTok stars, one of the dancers. Charlie D'Amelio.
I actually have one more thing I want to say about the holiday season.
Oh, we had Friendsgiving.
Oh, I have two things I want to say. Go on.
We couldn't get our lives together before Thanksgiving, so we had Friendsgiving 2 weeks after Thanksgiving. And it was just a fun time. It was like the correct amount of people. Like Hayden could have still come, and it would have been like it was the right amount of people that we could still fit in like the living room.
We had room for one more.
Yeah.
And it was the person who was working that night.
Yeah. And it was just such a silly little time.
And then the next morning, Lydia and I were on a bus to go up north with my speech and debate team.
Yeah.
And Lydia and I are both just like, hey, how's it going? Not hungover, stuffed with dairy products.
Yes.
It was like cheesy potatoes, home-baked mac and cheese.
Yes.
A corn casserole. So much meat. Lydia was like, hey, I was thinking as I tried to go to bed last night, there wasn't a single vegetable on the table.
There wasn't, because Hayden was going to bring the green bean casserole.
Right. so we
just no one took over.
Right. So we just stuffed our mouths. I drove up there and then took a lift home. Be responsible.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And that meant in the morning, Lydia drove my car to my house where I then got in and drove us to
That's
school.
good logistics
so we could
right
drive.
there.
It really is.
Yeah.
But then at the end of that night, the next night, Saturday, we're like walking to my car. We're like, okay, kids, like
bye.
Have fun, be safe. Like the last ones are getting picked up or they have a car, so they're walking to the parking lot. And they go, wait, oh my God, you guys carpooled together? Wait, that's so cute. I love that. And now this is me inviting you to what I said to them next.
Yes.
I was like, oh, if you thought that was cute, Lydia and I are going to have a sleepover before we go to Wyoming. And
wait,
yes.
That's so cute.
No.
We can't because we have the dogs unless you want to sleep over here.
You guys could come and stay for the evening, and then since you're within walking distance,
that's
walk
true.
home when we go to bed.
I didn't know if it was you or Lydia's house.
I'm not allowed to sleep with Jacob anymore. So.
Well, there's that. Good. I had something I was going to say about
the
Friendsgiving,
holiday.
and I forgot what it was. So
I mean, just a great time. Champagne, breads, so much wine. We watched Husker volleyball. Go ahead.
That's what I was going to say. I'm helping Grant judge a tournament next week. And so I had to fill out this form that was like, what kinds of events are you comfortable judging? And like, what time of day are you going to be up in Wyoming?
Basically, the key detail here is that full consent and opt into is like the theme of that form.
Oh yeah, it's like you have to select I understand like 5 times, or like you understand that if you say yes to this, we're gonna do this. Yeah. And I forgot one of those things I had said yes to was judging the virtual tournament. I was like, that's easy, like I can do that during like a lunch break or something, whatever. So cut to last Friday, the day of Friendsgiving, I got an email while I was at work that was like from the judging like platform, and it was like, I thought it was just like an assignment like for the actual tournament, so I was like, whatever. And then later that night, 30 minutes before Grant would walk through the door, I get an email that's like, reminder, ballots are due at midnight. It's like, oh no. And so that's how I ended up on the couch with both of my noise canceling headphones in, listening to these high school students.
These like legitimate freshman orators.
And they're like, some of them were really good, and some of them, had their notes. And I'm like taking notes like it's college, and like trying, and like I have so bad FOMO. God forbid I go upstairs. I can't hear anything anyone else is saying.
Because we're like, Tyler, Danny, talk to us about the men in your life, Let's get into it,
and
girls.
I'm like, that is a really good point about the parentalization of our younger generation.
So, love all of that so much. I, as program director, have something called a dashboard on our side of registration.
So you can see.
Where I can see where all of our people are at any time. And that includes what our judge assignments are. So I saw it at noon. And my first thought was, oh, that's a mistake. And then my second thought was like, I'm not going to patronize Maya like that.
So funny.
So I'm just going to trust my incredibly smart and gorgeous friend. And then life just got busy. So I did not think to check before I left school, which would have been a good thing to do. Could have given you another hour heads up that like, hey, I actually do think there's this oratory you got to check.
In hindsight, it ended up being fine. It's like 5 competitors and like about 10 minutes each. So it was like, I didn't miss out on too much of the fun. And like, I immediately went and got some champagne and wine. And so it was okay.
And as a person who coached through the virtual season during COVID, I can tell you for a matter of fact that you were not the first person to judge some novice persuasive speeches with a glass of wine.
It was just such a strange dichotomy of like Jacob sitting next to me petting my dog, laughing at all this shit.
Casey's coming around with more champagne.
Yeah.
Even Tyler's drinking.
And then
We're
Tyler
like, whoa.
shows up with a full loaf of sourdough.
He braided himself.
Yeah. That he plaited, God forbid.
I really do actually love our friend group because they're all so interesting enough to always be a mystery.
Yeah.
It's like you think you haven't figured out, and you do. You can kind of like suss out their reactions. Lydia and I got asked several questions like when we were up at the tournament on Saturday, and we would look at each other and I go, okay, so I think I know what your answer is going to be. And Lydia would be like, oh, I know what your answer is going to be.
That's
and then we compare notes. But like Tyler comes in, and Tyler's one of our friends who drinks sometimes, but does not.
We had non-alcoholic champagne like just for him, basically.
And I offer it to him. I'm like, do you want me to open up the bottle of non-alcoholic? He goes, oh, did you get that just for me? And I was like, well, Casey, but yes, like we got it for you. And he goes, oh, no, I'll go ahead and have full strength.
That's so cute. And also, Tyler, if you're listening, you're not, but that was a bottle I took from a friend who had a bunch extra and was like, do you want some of this? Because we don't know what to do with all of it. And I took it. And at one point, I was going to serve it to you as a joke.
Oh, sure.
As like, while we were recording the podcast and see how long it took for you to notice that it was not alcoholic.
I would just quietly grow more and more concerned about what my tolerance has grown into during this holiday season.
And anyway, that bottle of champagne has moved with us from the old place to this place. But it's now Tyler's, like, unequivocally.
On that topic.
Yeah.
Last thing I'll say before we get into some stories. In fact, if you want to start pre-reading, I have not read any of them, but naughty or nice, the 3 or more paragraphs you asked for, go ahead and start pre-reading that one. Okay. SNL has some really hilarious Christmas videos that they'll put together, and one of them is the gift of a candle. And my mom and I will watch it every Christmas, and it's so funny. And it's basically how the candle is a gift you get to gift to give away. It's like, what's one of the lines? I'm drawing a complete blank. I literally had 6 kids singing it today after school, and I cannot think of it now, but it's basically like, it's a candle, one flame candle, the candle that you give to give away. I need to show you part of this.
Oh, God.
So that you can understand it. Okay. Sorry for the second clip.
Did you see this was a reel I sent you, I think probably while you were driving over here.
So then, no, I haven't yet.
It's Trixie.
Oh, yes, I did see that right before I left. Go ahead and explain it to the crowd what it is that you're trying to tell me.
Trixie, of Trixie and Katya. Trixie is performing Defying Gravity dressed as Gypsy Rose.
Oh, I have to. Sorry, friends. Listener episode is really like, first, I almost sent this to everyone in our group about me, but I didn't because I want presents, but...
Does someone want to tell me how the fuck I'm supposed to buy a gift for a minimalist? What do? Take something away from them?
Yes, that is Grant. Take something away from them.
So she goes inside a closet just to see what crowds in there.
Oh my God.
There's a light. Then suddenly she sees the Christmas Savior's here tonight. It's a candle. Each candle. It's been sitting by a bike pump for a year.
I love that.
We'll do the whole
That's
version on
so
Patreon.
real.
But anyways, how did I get there?
I don't know.
You and I are both looking at each other like, where are we? Hey.
Look at us.
Hi. I see you. And we're both awake. Great. Okay, fantastic.
I hated that. Never do that to me while I'm a little stony baloney. Never do that to me.
It's the listener episode.
I
It's the
will
listener episode
never
of
be
Naughty
the
or
same.
Nice. Do you have a story for us?
I don't know.
Hope
Am
so.
I awake?
I have not read that one at all.
Well, he told me to pre-read it, and then I got stressed because I wasn't listening to Grant, so I didn't actually pre-read it, really.
If only all of my students also felt that way.
Yeah, okay. Okay, this is from our friend Emily. Okay. You asked, and I'm finally getting around to telling you the story of the 4-year-long relationship.
Listen.
I love the lore of all of you guys.
All stories are equal, but they exist in a tier where some are more equal than others. At the S
Are you the
tier,
patriarchy?
Thank you. It is an Animal Farms reference. At the very top of it all, if you piss yourself while giving blood. Okay, we've had
Oh my
one.
God, I forgot.
I will never forget. We've had one of those stories, and if you have a story even kind of like that, right now, pause the episode.
And you can tell
click
us,
it up.
like, don't read this out
Right.
loud. You know, that's fine.
After that, in the A tier, terrible relationships in hindsight. So funny, so deeply relatable. And in those stories, if you could please include as many parentheses as possible,
Yeah.
that's important.
Inception parentheses
Correct.
are encouraged.
And then we just truly do love all stories. And so those then
yeah.
also exist. But
The ones that preface that, like, I don't actually think I'm funny or I don't know how to write stories.
Right.
The way Grant and I will find anything that is absolutely hilarious.
people who are like,
we'll
I don't know
gas
how to
you up.
write stories, then do a stream of consciousness, which is actually the most like funny version
Yeah,
of that story.
exactly.
So anyways, one
Okay.
sentence in, as is our tradition, already interrupted.
Yep. The 4-year-long relationship, it fits into your naughty or nice theme
Mm-hmm.
because I at first thought it was nice, but it ended up being so naughty,
Yes.
parentheses, and not in a fun way.
No.
Wait, the next sentence, this is about a 7-minute read. I like that.
Good,
she,
good.
Like,
Oh, you know
read
she
this
was at a
and, like,
desk.
timed herself.
I'm sorry if you're trying to get your coworkers to listen to this episode for this specifically.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of audio references to stuff that's not theirs. And then now we're like, she wrote this at her desk and then timed it. And like your boss is right next to you. Sorry.
You were eating almonds. I don't know what
Right.
you wanted from us. I don't know why that's such a canon event in our podcast lore. Okay, back in 2013, I was in my early 20s, parentheses, yes, Grant, I'm one of you.
Yes.
And found myself applying.
Yeah, I'll jump in here real quick. That's fine.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I have the chance to coach alongside a bunch of other really cool coaches at other schools.
Yeah.
Who are older than me, which puts them in.
But then you have that one that's like a baby, right?
Yes, and we're not gonna.
Yeah. It's so
But-
funny, though. It's so funny to
It's
me.
also funny.
Yeah.
They're all really interesting, passionate,
Yeah.
highly educated people who have this weird little job like I do. But that means most of the older coaches are Gen Xers. And so as I said to them the other day, you Gen Xers with your hurt feelings and lead poisoning.
It's good.
And then they were like, what are you talking about? And I had to be like,
Nothing.
you know the chart that we've all seen? And they were like, no.
No.
And I was like, the chart that documents cases of lead poisoning via water by generation. And it's like contained to only your generation, which then correlates, not causates, but correlates to you being the most conservative generation out of all of the living generations.
Huh.
It's the lead poisoning, babes. And they're like, prove, open it up, prove. Anyways, one of us, millennials, the people that brought it back.
One of us. Okay. Back in 2013, I was in my early 20s and found myself applying for an entry-level job that my no-degree college dropout self thought I could manage. One of the jobs that hired me that spring was a used car company, parentheses, think of a national brand, as a salesperson. My mom warned me when I started that, one, they only hired me because I was a pretty young female. Parentheses, a compliment only a mother could make backhanded.
Mother-daughter relationships are so complicated.
There's levels. There's so many levels, and then there's like trapdoors into new levels and weird escalator like that thing from Hunger Games Katniss goes into, and then she watches her like stylist die. Like there's other ones of that just
It's
take
all
you straight
shoots,
up.
no ladders.
Well, yeah, yeah. Okay. They only hired me because I was pretty, and two, not to sleep with any of the slimy salesmen. Parentheses, a move she made at a similar age that landed her with me. I rolled my eyes as any naive post-teen would at their mother and brushed her off back then. If only I knew. So my ex-boyfriend, this is a good time to mention, he was a used car sale. Actually, not a, well, I mean, he was a car salesman that I'm sure also sold used cars.
Her mom said to her,
Yeah.
you were only hired because they want to sleep with you. Don't. That's how I got you. What?
Yeah.
Good luck, sweetie. Make us proud. What kind of pep talk is that?
I forget that you're you like have the relationship that you do with your parents and are also you look the way you do and are a man, a gay man, and so I've never had any conversation like this. I'm like, yeah.
And I'm like, what a deeply traumatizing thing to experience. And you're like, you mean motherhood?
Yeah, I was like, no, yeah, that makes sense. What are you talking about?
Yeah, she loves you. I understand.
Yeah, what? She loves you and she's bad at showing it. And we're just all taught to accept that.
She loves you and your existence fundamentally changed her life forever.
Yeah, and sometimes in a good way.
For good. That's a wicked reference.
There's a mother in my circle, you can deduce what I'm saying, who would always tell their child me that
Okay, so your mom.
that before she had me, she was a cup size C for her boobs, and then after she had me, it was a cup size B. It was never like animosity, but it was constantly brought up, and like anytime we were in like a bra section or anything, or like she was like, I used to be a size C. And I was like, say it one more time.
See, my mom would do something similar, and we'd be at Kohl's, and I'd be in the changing room, and she'd say, "Grant, before we buy those pants, I need to see them on you." And
see,
this
always
S-tier
happened at
level
a
trauma.
Kohl's.
Yes.
We're a couple times at a Target, mostly at
A
a Kohl's,
2002
though.
Mariah Carey song is playing in the background as you develop the most crippling body dysmorphia of your life.
Yeah.
Great, amazing.
I don't know how those mirrors make you look worse. I don't know what the deal is.
Or what parent walks in with you when you go in, because it's not the one that drove you there.
No.
That's
so messed up. We're continuing the story. If only I knew. There, I met who we'll call Dean. He was so nice to me.
Yikes.
Yeah. Baby Emily, innocent and naive. And one day, Dean asked me for my phone number, quoting that he wanted to make sure I'd be invited to after-work volleyball with the guys. I didn't catch on to the flirting until my friend spelled it out to me a week later. From there, it turned into texting and hanging out. Then all too quickly after that, we were sleeping together.
Good. I mean,
that jumped a lot of...
I get
no,
it.
it's fine. Yeah, I
no,
get
we're
it.
back into the things that my queer existence
No,
understands.
I mean, it's fair
Men
enough.
named Dean are bad. You're sleeping together.
Yeah.
I get it.
Sometimes I do forget I had a hoe phase and did this exact thing
I
where
mean,
I was like, I hate you. Come here. Come here.
I hate you. That doesn't mean move away from
Yeah,
me.
I'm going to sit in your lap. Like, stop moving away.
Wow, you were popular in high school.
No, this was college when
Wow,
I was
you were
more
popular in
confident.
college.
Yeah. Okay, too quickly. From there, it turned into texting and hanging out, and then all too quickly, we were sleeping together. He told me he was in the military special forces, and he had severe PTSD. He told me he'd never met anyone like me. He didn't want to tell...
That phrase should make you run. You can find me on the street. I'm very common in this city. You've never met anyone like me before? Have you been looking?
No,
Run.
say it in a mirror.
See, it's funny to use on other people.
It's
also
funny.
really funny to see get used on other people.
Yeah. He has an avoidant attachment style. And I just want to point that out before any of you are like, oh, this person loves me. I should leave.
Babes, they know that already. They've been listening to us too.
You've been giving subtle hints. I'm spelling it out for them, as we've discussed.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, he told me he never met anyone like me. He didn't want to... Oh, also, that is a red flag. Like, Grant's reaction was overreacting, but also, like, this was a bad sentence. He didn't want to tell anyone at work that we were seeing each other to protect my reputation, of course. He told me about his family. His mom was so annoying, always sending these gift baskets. I met his roommates. Then every so often he would drop off the face of the planet. I only worked part-time. So
Hot again.
Again, listeners, don't listen to him. Don't listen to him.
I have an avoidant attachment.
He's like, he left and never contacted me again. Amazing.
I looked at Maya at one point and I was like, or hear me out. I disappear for a month. And she goes, I know you can do that.
Fully fucking aware.
I know that's not a hollow threat.
Yeah, it scares me. I don't want to answer those Instagram messages. The number of Instagram messages I accidentally opened a fucking devil's hole. Like 5 of you sent the same message, and I was like, it's going to be a funny reel about Grant. No! It wasn't.
I want to make sure this is clear too. When she says she's scared about me disappearing for a month, it's not because I'm like, what was that movie where he had to cut off his own arm? Like
27 hours.
Thank
or
you.
something. Yeah.
It's not like it's one of those things, and it's not like I'm gonna like gone girl myself or anything.
He'll be in the city.
Yeah,
I'll still have his
like
location.
to be in touch with myself and my own needs, and to be unreachable.
During the winter, I know he's somewhere warm. However, during the summer, he could actually be in the wilderness. That's the problem. Okay. This guy has PTSD, or so he says.
Right.
So he says he does. He says he's never met anyone like her, that he doesn't want to tell anyone because of his reputation at work, blah, 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 blah. Then every so often he would drop off the face of the planet. I only worked part-time, so if I didn't see him at work and he didn't respond to my texts, it was like he never existed. I kept my cool, letting things be casual. Neither of us wanted something serious. I left that job before the winter came, and we continued on. He started going to therapy after the first year, at my urging.
That's a green flag.
Good for you.
That's a green flag.
Good for you, yeah. I was worried about him when he disappeared. He was depressed, he was suffering, and I wanted to make sure that he was okay. He didn't have to be alone in this, and I was there to support him. Honestly, you're a catch. I would date you. If Casey ever, God forbid, if Casey goes early, you let me know.
I am also in that running, just so you know.
I did it first.
We're gonna get married. If Casey disappears, we're getting married.
That's fair.
We literally talked about this at
you're
Friendsgiving.
right. Yeah, we would have such a great time.
I know, because we have similar financial goals.
Yeah,
spend
and be on the Amalfi Coast.
I just heard Aperol
honestly, we
Spritz's
need Casey to manage the finances.
You better put it in the will.
Yeah.
I just heard Aperol Spritz's taste better on the Amalfi Coast, and whether or not that's true or not, I need to figure it out. Okay.
Yeah, we need to
call
go
me
there
Sir
first.
Arthur Doyle, because I'm about to set up a mystery detective.
That was bad.
It was poorly worded for sure.
Good.
So he disappears.
He disappears, but she gets him to go to therapy.
Okay.
That's good. After the second year, they've been together like 2 years.
Do you think anyone
That's
at work
crazy.
knows at this point? And
I
people
would
have
assume,
to suspect,
but because
right?
she's gone now, she quit the job.
Oh, good.
So
Okay.
probably, yeah. After the second year, he became even less available. He'd gotten a new job. He didn't have the time for therapy anymore. He and his roommates were selling their house. He was crashing temporarily with another buddy. He didn't have a bedroom anymore, just an air mattress in the basement. After the somewhat regularity of being in his bed almost every Saturday, our intimacy suddenly became much less frequent. I gave him some grace, and we called it an adjustment period. We'd settle back into a new routine soon. We didn't. It only got worse, and after 3 years, I started demanding more time. 3 years? My God.
The way I have literally never.
my God. I started demanding more time. At this point, and after, I'd been using the verbiage for several months. Sorry, it only got worse. The verbiage. Yeah, after several months, he was finally calling me his girlfriend. Oh my God, 3 years?
I have nothing to say to that.
That's insane. I need to make sure I read that right.
If you guys were lesbians, you would own so many rescue dogs together at that point. That
Yeah.
is a glacier pace.
That's so slow. At that point, I was convincing Casey to buy Bowser.
You were adopting children.
Yeah, I was, literally. After 3 years. Okay. I was looking at apartments and asked him about moving in together. He said he'd be willing to look at places. He never showed up to anything, of course. His PTSD always made a convenient appearance when I'd scheduled a viewing. Eventually, I stopped asking. I started looking at places for just me and the 2 dogs I'd adopted. She's doing it by herself. She's getting the dogs by herself. Good for you.
Girl, who's going to be all right in the movie?
Good. I almost adopted Bowser. If Casey had said no, I was going to go see him. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. He told me after I'd gotten... Oh, okay. I started looking at places just for me and the 2 dogs I'd adopted. He told me after I'd gotten both of them that he was allergic to dogs. He was more of a cat guy. I remember having a conversation with my bestie asking her if it just wasn't meant to be. He was allergic to dogs and I'm allergic to cats. It'll just never work. She soothed me like she always did. It's fine. You'll figure it out. we didn't.
Here's the thing. I'm that friend that does not think you should work it out because I know what you're worth. I'm like, I've been telling you to leave him. This is just another sign from the universe
to leave
him. He literally can't come over to your place anymore, a place he did not want to share with you.
Yeah.
Leave.
And he's not
It's year
committed.
3. Oh, hold on. They're in their 20s, not their 30s, aren't they?
Yeah, early 20s.
Oh, okay. 3 years is nothing then. Are you kidding? A little situationship to go on between 19 to 22?
Girl, no.
I mean, I know it sounds awful, but I mean, time is unlimited at that age.
I love Casey so much. And I would never change the way our relationship worked out.
Him?
I did.
I know.
I did, bitch. I did.
And I wrote you a poem about fish.
We bought a house. There were times, like, not even me thinking, like, damn, I should break up with Casey. It was more like, damn, it would be really cool to be single in the city right now.
It's not.
Oh, no, I know it wasn't, but it would have been
Hello from the other side.
It's not. No, I could not imagine wanting to, like, or being in this kind of relationship, not enjoying it, and then being like, but I should stay, you know? Emily, I love you.
Get out.
Get out.
Yeah.
Get out. I mean, you are out. You
And
called
that
it a
friend,
relationship.
kind of a bad friend. They're like, no, stay.
It'll work out. It'll work out.
Don't come to me if you're like on the fence about your relationship. I always push you off. I'm like, no.
Yeah, because Grant can't even push himself in.
Yeah.
Sit with that for a while, Grant.
You got it from here. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Was that too much?
No, it was.
Okay.
It was honestly probably just right. Thank you.
Good.
And to someone else, I'm sorry. Kidding.
Excellent. Okay. He was allergic to dogs. I'm allergic to cats. It would never work. So after he disappeared on me once again on a Sunday, we had a date scheduled. I demanded an in-person conversation. I'd asked to meet him Monday. He agreed. Then something came up. What about Wednesday? He agreed. Then something came up. What about Thursday? He agreed. But once again, I was left on red.
Boy, I've been there.
At that point, I couldn't take it anymore. I texted him that I was done. We were done. Honestly, fair enough. I'm not an advocate of breaking up over text, but if they're going to do that to you, you lost your chance.
Mm-hmm.
You lost your chance. I jumped on a dating app, parentheses, where I got much better, or at least more entertaining stories. And I had a date that Saturday. That boy did not let our date be interrupted by an emergency vet visit with my sick dog, staying with me there until it was all over at 3 a.m. Parentheses, my dog was fine. But then declared he didn't want to wait until the next weekend for our second date, so we set it for Tuesday. On my way to that second date, when I finally got a response from Dean. On my way to that second date was when I finally got a response from Dean. I had dumped him over text 5 days before, and he was just getting around to responding. He wanted to talk, said he owed me a conversation. I said he didn't owe me anything, and if he needed to get anything off his chest, he could, but I'd said all I needed to say. He faded out of existence without much of an explanation. That was September 2017. I was hurt, but not heartbroken. I'd seen the writing on the wall. I told myself and everyone else Dean was a good guy. He was just a shitty boyfriend. I went on my serial dating spree. Yes, queen.
Oof.
That's where you learn your
I'm
worth.
sorry.
Sometimes that's good.
Maybe this is a Patreon story.
Yeah.
I double-headered date nights last week. And one...
Learned a lot about it.
Yeah. Yeah, you did. One, I'm too old for that. I'm too old to have pad
That's
thai
too
2
much.
nights in a row.
Yeah.
This little Nebraska stomach was not made to have Thai food 2 nights in a row. First thing.
Yeah.
Second thing, really hard to keep track at this age when you like live a life and run a
Yeah.
small business and have all these
Oh,
friends. What stories I've told to who? And so I'm
Same.
like, have I told you this one story? And instead of it being like cute and being like, oh, like, haha, I'm like, I need to know.
No, like
if
you
I've
actually
told
have to tell
this
me if I've told this to you.
not.
That's how I feel when I'm talking to anyone who I know listens to the podcast
Yes.
regularly. I'm like,
Yes.
did you hear? Did I tell this on the podcast? Did I tell this on the podcast or on Patreon?
I told this to just Maia, to thousands of people, or to you.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. So in November 2018, he sniffed back around. I humored myself and let him take me out to lunch. I'd bought a house by then. He came over and helped me paint a room.
Nope. Never let him know where you live. Sorry, don't.
That's Grant talking again. That's Grant talking. I
Don't.
mean, like,
That-
don't, but like,
Oh, you think they should? You think this
I
person
think
should?
straight women shouldn't.
Right.
Ever. Why don't you want to let people know where to
Don't ask
I
questions.
know, exactly.
It can be for kind of the same reasons as a part of a larger, more kind of pot pie medley.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I humored myself and let him take me out to lunch. He came over to help paint. He told me he let a good thing go. Mm-hmm. He didn't know how good he'd had it. I was the best thing that ever happened to him. All of those things he's saying to her. By January 2019, he was talking about taking me out for Valentine's Day. In our 4 years dating, we hadn't even so much as seen each other on a holiday or birthday, much less had he treated me to a holiday-specific romantic night out. I was shocked. But I wasn't falling for it. Hell yeah. I wasn't baby Emily anymore. I'd grown up and learned.
She's a homeowner now.
I know. She's a homeowner. She knows.
If you know what an escrow account is, you can't be swept up your feet like that.
No, yeah, exactly. It takes a month to close on a house. You think I'm going to let you talk me into a date one night? Yeah. I'd grown up and learned. The last time I saw him, he kissed me, and I felt absolutely nothing at all.
That's hard to pull off, speaking from experience. What's life if not to be fun and full of mistakes?
Grant's going through it right now, I think.
I told you I don't like being vulnerable.
I know you don't, so why are you keep being vulnerable?
That's what I was talking to you about before we started to record. You know why or why not, or maybe I don't...
I'm going to finish the story. We're going to refill our drinks.
Yeah, we are.
We'll talk about it.
Glad you and I are on that page now.
He kissed me and I felt absolutely nothing at all. At that point, I was falling for someone else, so I gave him what he'd given me so many times over. I ghosted him.
Nice.
It feels good. It feels good. A couple of years ago, a coworker and I were swapping old dating stories. I recounted my time with Dean, wondering where he was then, wondering if he was even still alive, parentheses, severe PTSD and all.
Yep.
So I looked him up. A Google search brought up his work profile. It said he was married and still living in the area. I was happy for him, glad he'd found someone worth getting his shit together for. They had 2 dogs. What?
Sorry. No.
I haven't read past this, but what?
Time out. That is, in the 90s, it's like you find out your ex, who you broke up because they never saw a serious future, they didn't want kids, is now 3 years later married with a child on the way. And you're like, so it was me. All along, it was me. You were fine having kids.
You see,
it's instead for millennials, it's dogs.
Yeah.
One of us.
There's that episode of The Office where it's like a Valentine's Day, but Michael's sad, so he makes everyone have like a sad Valentine's Day, basically. And Oscar, they're like going around sharing their like bad dating stories or whatever, and Oscar was like, well, I met this guy, I told him that I was into him, I laid it all out on the table, and he wasn't gay. And everyone's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, like, what did you do after that? And he was like, well, that's not the end of the story. A couple months later, my friend saw him at a gay bar in such and such a town, and everyone else goes, oh my God. And Michael goes, well, so it's a happy ending then. He is gay. I was like, oh.
Really tough to find out in that story that I'm the Michael Scott of my classroom.
I've been knowing.
So he has dogs and a wife.
He has dogs, okay. They had 2 dogs. The same breed of dog that his buddy had that he had been crashing with. His wife looked ever so slightly familiar. Her social media was easy to find. His was now non-existent. After too deep a dive, I learned that they were married in December of 2017. Engaged in 2016. He'd shown me that picture of them before, holding a wild cat someplace, claiming it was his ex. They started dating a year after he and I met. I'd been to her house. She was the buddy whose dogs were hers. The bedroom that we had sex in wasn't the spare room. It was her child's. He wasn't even in the military.
What?
That was an insane couple of sentences, Emily. The reveal.
No, I'm sorry.
That was wild.
What I want to know is what was happening in his married life that he was like, hey, you want to go out on Valentine's Day? And then, like, what was that plan?
I I'm so confused.
I think people who date nowadays understand the concept of like, and it gets a bad rap, and it kind of should have, but like of having a roster.
Yes.
And it's like everyone's kind of dating 2-3 people at the same time.
Especially if you're on the apps.
As
like,
things are like beginning, middle, end stage, all that kind of different. It's like our modern dating culture is not designed for like one person at a time plays its course. But that
I love
is
that
dirty.
The first thing that I was upset by was the fact that he had dogs.
Oh, so he cheated on you spiritually?
Yeah. Oh, so he lied.
Oh, he doesn't think you're a good mom.
Yeah. Oh my God, this is insane. Okay. The literal horror I felt then. I considered reaching out to tell her, but this was years later. I talked it through with my boyfriend, the same one I ghosted Dean 4 years ago.
Nice.
Wait, that's really cute. Okay. The consensus I came to was that I couldn't have been the only one who fell for his bullshit, and he would probably get caught eventually. And that's where I left it, in my past, or in the past. I hope you at least got a little laugh out of this. I get a kick.
Absolutely.
Yeah, out of how young and stupid I was and how right my mom was about the slimy sailor dogs. Damn it, I hate when they're right.
Oh, wow.
He wasn't a nice guy, just a bad boyfriend. He was a cheater and a liar and made me complicit in his affair. Very naughty. If he hasn't already, someday he'll get caught. Hindsight truly is 2020. I've got much funnier stories. I'll be sure to write them in when you come out with a fitting story arc. Thanks for all the laughs. We certainly need them in the current state of America. Stay safe and much love, Emily.
Absolutely.
That was incredible. You took us on a journey there, Emily. That was beautiful.
I need to say this, and we probably should have said this at the top of the episode.
Yeah.
But I want to say this now. There are 2 reasons episode 3 is always our listener episodes.
Yeah.
The first one, and I think the reason why you and I first started it, unaware as to how much listener mail we would get, is like to do the kind of stories that you and I like to do. Yeah. We can't do a 2-week turnaround. We just
breaks.
Legitimately need more time to pull things together. And that's what these provide. It's why we did Am I the Asshole originally. Yeah. But now the new number 1 reason is that you guys have some incredible stories that we just love listening to. It's like 1 every 3 episodes we do normal gossip or whatever that other podcast is called. Yeah. And I'm just like, thank you for sharing this. This is lovely. A wild story, and I'm sorry that you had to go through that kind of character development. But
it's also so funny watching the Discord of like our Patreon listeners that have their story read that are like, "Hey, I'm Nicole or whatever their name is
nice
that they gave me. Nice to meet you. Here are some more things about the story that I told you." It's so funny watching everyone react to that.
Because I love it too when our listeners also enjoy the little curtain of privacy that being in the Patreon community provides. They're like, "Okay, I don't want this necessarily posted on the Instagram. But here's what he looks like, or whatever.
Here's all the details that I didn't tell. Yeah, it was good.
Well, friends, we'll be right back.
Yeah, we're going to take a break and refresh.
Lovely. So during a little break, I remembered the mom being like, "I told you so."
Yeah.
The other day at the tournament.
Yeah.
A child was really, the game theater kids and those who went to summer camp for too long do, Ninja.
Yes.
Which is legitimately a very fun game.
It is.
But they're like throwing their bodies. They're so into it. And they're doing it next to a bunch of bleachers. And I look at them and I'm like, hey, watch out. Like as a teacher, I've played this till the end. As a person who saw Final Destination way too young, I understand what is about to happen.
One of you is about to get KO'd on these bleachers.
Get really hurt. So please
be careful.
Stop or move away from the sharp, pointy stairs.
Metal objects,
and then I walk away. Because, like, God and Darwin will figure out the rest, right?
Put that on a shirt.
And, like, 5 minutes later, I'm on my computer, and they come up to me, and they're like, Mr. So-and-so sprained their ankle.
Oh, gosh.
And I was like, okay, like, are they bleeding? Like, is it, like, are they able to, like, kind of, like, how bad is it? They're like, oh, they're sitting down over there and they're in some pain. If you could, like, go see them. And I was like, yep, I'll be there in just a second. And then I, like, keep typing up my email and finishing it.
Oh, no.
And then a second person comes up, hey, Mr. So-and-so sprayed their ankle. Yep. And I'll get there as soon as I'm done. And I'm not trying to be like, you need to be in pain so you can learn the lesson.
Yeah.
But what I'm deeply aware of now, a decade into this teaching career, is that I have literally no legal authority to give them any kind of painkillers. That the best I'm going to be able to do is find like a pack of ice.
Yeah.
And what could actually make them feel the best is if they just kind of de-escalate it for a little bit.
Yeah.
So I go over there and I'm like, hey, kiddo. And they're like, hi. And I go, you were playing ninja and you sprained your ankle. And they're like, yeah. And I go, okay. I'm going to save the I told you so until Monday. Okay. What do you need from me right now?
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't know. It kind of hurts. And I go, I can't give you any painkillers.
Yeah. Legally.
Exactly. Best I can do is a glove full of ice. How does that sound? Okay, champ. I'll be right back.
Glove full of ice.
Best I can do.
I want you to write that on a slip of paper and like slide it across to them.
I think at one point I did ask in that initial check-in, I'm like, can you like walk a little bit? Like, does it hurt to put weight on it? Or is it like for reals can't
Like,
put any weight on it or anything? Right. Like I'm like, you twisted your ankle badly because in a ninja.
It's not always spraining.
Right. Because you did a ninja move and to avoid the sharp pointy steps, you like twisted your body in a way that resulted in a twisted ankle.
We've all been
and that
there.
sucks, but it's like not life-threatening. Like you will be fine. And they were actually so fine that 10 minutes after I got them the
They're
baggie of
back
ice,
up.
they're back moving around. And I was like,
Playing
you
ninja, I hope.
need to sit down.
Yeah.
And they were like, I have FOMO. And I was like,
Okay,
fair
well.
enough, you know? You have your bag of ice, so I've done literally all I can do.
I mean, I've told stories of how I sprained both ankles at the same time in elementary school, and also how I tore my meniscus because I had FOMO and was also too competitive. So we've all been there. Have I told both of those stories on the podcast?
Yes,
Okay,
I'm just now
good.
thinking about the time you almost drowned. We're really lucky to have you.
Yeah, we are.
The title of this email is Naughty or Nice Listener Story. And this comes from Sam. Yes, you can use my name and she, her pronouns.
Excellent. Hello, Sam.
Hello, Sam.
Welcome
Hi.
to the podcast.
Hi, welcome. Hi, hello. Yeah, I'm going to love this next. Hi, Grant and Maya. I'm really sorry, Maya, but Grant has played a small part in my decision to change careers and become a secondary teacher.
That's sweet.
And alphabetical order, et cetera, et cetera.
Did they actually say that?
Yes.
I was prepared to have some sympathy for you and be like, no, that's totally fair, totally get it, completely understand. And then you threw alphabetical order, and that's where we're gonna fight, Sam.
I'm America's last happy teacher. Here's the thing: first name or last name.
Sam, I'm gonna. If you're listening on an audio platform, I'm gonna need you to get on YouTube right now because I have some eye contact to make with you.
The way we're such a comforting space, except for this one small hill in which we sow deep amounts of anxiety for.
Here's the thing. I wasn't mad about the actual reason. I'm mad about the alphabet. That's a bullshit arbitrary reason, and you know it.
Well, I don't think it's arbitrary. My first name is first alphabetically, and my last name is first alphabetically.
Okay, why can't it be reverse alphabetical order?
Okay, let's go by middle names, where I still win.
Oh my God, you're right.
Like I'm literally first in all three
My
categories.
middle name starts with an E.
Oh, you're pretty high up there. Not enough. You're Mew, I'm Gat.
I could actually legally change my last name to
Yeah, so could I.
And then I would be ahead of you
Watch
on
us
one.
both change our names to Langenbaugh. I think it would really hurt Jacob's feelings. Anyways, all of it's in
Michelle would accept you.
outside of Hi, Grant, and Maya. Everything else is in parentheses.
I love that.
I've been listening from the start, so before I get to my story, I just want to say thank you for the endless hours of entertainment. I always get excited when I see a longer episode, as it means I get to hang out with you guys for longer
Shut up, I'll
while
cry.
doing all the mundane life stuff.
After last week's episode, y'all, I'm like primed to cry on this.
And it's insane that it came from our sex therapist episode.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
actually like increasingly so proud that that's the first episode of mine of 2025.
I think people
January
like
1 are going to be shocked.
Well, we told people at Friendsgiving, we were like, yeah, it was a really emotional episode. Like, we both cried. And I don't think of those who listen regularly enough to recognize that that's the episode we were talking about, probably
Right.
like Lydia.
Right.
I don't think they're going to recognize we were like genuinely sobbing. Like it wasn't just like a tear coming, like beautiful, like just a
These
single
are
tear.
the tear
No,
drops
it
on
was
my
like
guitar.
Okay.
It's the human spirit. Hold my hand. Yeah. This is the human spirit, Maya. Also, since we're on this, on the bus back from Wyoming, we were on a bus that had a microphone. Which, you know, I'm blessed to have such a huge team of students to work with. And so, because they're all yappers, they're speech and debate students, the microphone is really helpful.
Yeah.
So on the way back, I'm like giving instructions, things like that. And I'm striving for like a low, soft, like authoritative voice. To kind of encourage calm, which will eventually lead to quiet, which will eventually lead to sleep.
Yes.
On this hour car ride back.
Yes.
And so I'm like, call your rides, make sure they're there. We'll be there in an hour.
Yeah.
I click it off, hang up. And Lydia, who's sitting across the road from me, she goes, you do have a radio voice now. Like you have a specific voice you use in front of a mic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a radio voice until I start getting really excited, and then my voice goes up here. And then I'm editing it, cringing.
And you're like, no, not my true self.
Maya, shut up.
Hey, we're doing pretty good. Third paragraph. Here we
good.
go.
Wow, look at that.
Third paragraph, start of the story. So my story is set in the early teen years. You get it. In the year 2000. It's near Christmas. We've finished school for the year. She's in Australia.
Okay.
And my parents are working at the family shop, leaving my brothers 2 years each side of me and me home alone. No age yet.
Okay.
My older brother, bored with what seems like endless lists of Nintendo 64 games, makes a plan. He has asked for WWF No Mercy for Christmas.
Oh my gosh.
And there is a very distinctly shaped box under the Christmas tree. I'm going to go ahead and Google what WWF No Mercy for Christmas is. I have no idea what that is.
I feel like I know, but I also would like a fact check.
Oh, it's not.
Oh, Jesus.
Sorry, no. I'm dumb. I thought its name was like, from the makers of WWF, we present
No Mercy
for Christmas.
Yeah.
I thought I thought for Christmas was in its title. Like for Christmas, you get No Mercy. I know he had asked for WWF No Mercy, comma
for Christmas.
Yes.
Yes. What is WWF No
It's
Mercy?
a little like virtual fighting game.
Okay.
Or
Okay,
whatever.
cool.
And there is a very distinctly shaped box underneath the Christmas tree. He does it. He uses scissors to clip the sticky tape, slides the box out of the wrapping, takes it out of the game cartridge. He even puts another game cartridge in the box so it doesn't feel any different. Your brother's going to commit crimes when he gets older. I want you to know. That's a certain way of looking at the world.
That's what I would do.
I would literally never, out of fear of getting caught. And also, I think it violates the spirit. And you know that's true about me. Like, you do know I would have an issue with violating the spirit of Christmas.
My gift for Christmas for like the last 10 years of my like time living with my parents was money. And that was it. So, I mean, useful, don't get me wrong. But that's the reason I think I was doing some self-reflection earlier. That's the reason I think
Dangerous.
I always give like gifts for Christmas, like no matter what it is, because I'm like, see, I know you. See, look, see.
This is why you would love two things. One, why you would love Thomas Christmas, where
I
we
know.
open up a present one at a time.
You sent me the
all
picture
talk
of
about
you
it.
guys all of the presents under the Christmas tree, and I almost lost my goddamn
We
mind.
just really love each other.
I was in New York, like trying not to cry every day, screaming the lyrics to Hades Town.
And it's all because it was a long time spent away from each other, which means we end up talking to each other a lot more. So it's
Yeah.
like, I don't want to lie to her. Like, this is what I'm doing right now.
I
But I'm also
live
aware that
tweet
it's
Grant.
not fair sometimes.
Whenever I don't want to talk to anyone else, I just act like I'm on my phone, and what I'm doing is just live texting Grant everything that happens
It's
around me.
really tough because I'm going to get it in 7 hours.
Yeah.
Going to be like, ha ha ha, you got him. Second
Anyway,
thing,
okay.
your gift is in, and it'll be wrapped for you on Wednesday. So tune in on Wednesday.
Is it in the fridge? Be honest.
I'm not going to tell you anything at all. I'm certainly
It's a
not going
baby
to tell you
bell.
anything.
I know it is.
I'm not even going to tell you if this is your only gift. You got me 2 very sentimental things in the last 2 months.
Okay, one of them.
Was a lifelong lost childhood
Okay, fair
toy.
enough.
And The second
That was
one,
really a listener's doing. I just supplied the funds, and it was very reasonable.
don't try to cheapen it. You can't, babes.
Okay.
So her brother's a liar and a thief. Sam's.
Her brother is clever and creative, is what I'll say.
So he puts a different game in the cartridge, so it doesn't feel any different. The anxiety I would have about picking which game to put back in, because it'd be as soon as
then you can't get it back.
Right, as soon as you seal it up, I would want to play it immediately.
Yeah. That's fair.
So it doesn't feel any different when he tapes the wrapping and places the box back under the tree in the exact same place he found it. Genius, really. But he didn't realize he had a problem.
Oh, no.
Me.
That's funny.
He didn't bribe me. He threatened me not to tell. He said that if I told anyone, he'd make my summer, quote, a living hell.
That's not a good enough threat.
Right, especially because, and it's tough to keep this in mind, Australians celebrate Christmas in the summer because December is their summer months.
Yeah, right.
So this is the middle of their summer break.
Yeah, that's so funny.
He's threatening to make their summer a living hell. But me, I was a tattletale.
Yeah.
I always have been. A sense of justice and all that. Anyways, I was getting mad. I could not watch anything on our one TV for a whole week, and neither would do anything else except play that game.
Oh.
The whole idea of WWF never really appealed to me, and watching my brothers play it was even worse. I didn't go to Mom in the end. She spells it Mum.
Mum.
I went to Dad, who told me not to worry. He'd be on to it.
Oh, that's good.
At this stage, there's only a couple of days before Christmas, so I take his word and sat on it, just happy that someone knew.
Oh,
Okay, I'm gonna pause here.
I'm on Dad's.
I have not read
Dad's-
further ahead. What would you do in this situation?
What would I do as a parent?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. I would probably take out the cartridge that he had put in.
Okay.
That's step number one. And then I would do something to the rest of his gifts.
I'm much meaner.
Yeah, I know.
I would simply remove the wrapped game, the wrong wrapped game.
Yeah.
So that way, in the universe he is pretending to live in, he never gets the game, and he can never play it around us.
That's psychological warfare.
No, it is. I know it is.
That's good.
Sometimes I'll hear my students complain about like another student who's
Yeah.
like done them wrong or whatever, and I gotta keep my mad genius to myself. Because if I say out loud, "Oh, just start a rumor they smell," like that's you can't do it. And here's why that works. It's so hard to disprove.
Yeah, you can't.
And you get to spread it out of concern.
God, you're mean. And you grew up with siblings. That's what I learned.
It. No, that's exactly it. If I was Dad, I would just remove his ability to ever play it in front of us ever, and let the secret grow.
That's genius.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like worried
because
for
then
your future children
when
if
he
you ever
builds
have them.
up to be like, oh, I bought it on my own. Then I take out the cartridge
I'm
and
like,
open
where'd this
it
come
up,
from?
and I go, okay, so you've been lying to us this entire time, and you had the chance to come clean, and you didn't. And now that you've purchased it with your own money, we're going to take it away. And so there's a financial cost to you lying to us. And I shouldn't have children, but I will be a fun uncle. Because I will then,
a mean uncle.
if I was the uncle, I would then buy them that gift.
Yeah.
I will undermine
That's
you.
true. That's true.
So what are you doing? You're just removing the game in the cartridge? That's all you're doing?
Well, I would remove the game in the cartridge as step one so that
Sure.
when he opens it and hopes to find
Amateur hour.
the game that he has, I would also mess with all of his other gifts so in some way he ends up with nothing.
See, that feels so much meaner. I don't want you to have a bad
I grew
Christmas.
up with a mom I grew up with a mom. End of sentence.
I just kind of feel like mine is so specifically targeted because it's like, obviously, I still want you to have a Christmas.
Mine is like, this
I
will
just
be the
wanna
worst
ruin
Christmas
this
that you
one-
ever had.
I want to ruin the one element of Christmas that you lied to me about, but I still enjoy the presents.
I would take all of the presents that he had seen that were all labeled for him under the tree and replace the labels and like give the gift to someone else. And so like he thought he had more than one gift, but it was only just the one. And also what's in the gift, oh, I'm so sorry, that must have been defective. Like,
What a horrifying Christmas day. Okay. We're both going to be fun aunts and uncles.
Grant's mean with a purpose. I'm mean.
Yes. Yes. Laser precision, targeted airstrike.
That's really good. It's really good.
Christmas Day rolls around. Here's what Sam's dad apparently does. Christmas Day rolls around. The roast is done. Plum pudding has been eaten. I'm sorry. The idea of eating Christmas food in the middle of summer, so unappealing. My mom fully does not bake in the month of July. Like, does not turn on the oven.
It's too hot.
Yes. And the pool has been swimming.
Oh.
That's right. Summer Christmas forever. It's time for presents around the tree. We have never been able to wait until the afternoon. Like, it's the first thing.
Really?
And we're waking up my sister. Yeah.
I think mine was always in the morning when I had, because I would always get like gifts from relatives, and like there would be the one requisite gift for my dad, which was the thing that he presented to be surprised by, but I'd asked for like 2 months ago. It always alternated between belts and shoes.
I hope you appreciate how lucky you are that you had a dad that would ask specifically for a specific thing, and you just didn't have to guess and get him one year a beef jerky maker. Which is a true story.
God, I have so much trauma that I would share right now. But I'm learning.
It's time for presents around the tree. I always enjoyed being the person who hands out the presents.
Oh, cute.
So I knew when my older brother was handed his unopened game, and my dad, dear old dad, when my brother opened the box and acted surprised, my dad said, "Open it." My brother went white. "Open it."
That's
Dad
good.
said again, "I want to see what the cartridge looks like."
Oh my God.
My brother hesitated, then opened the box, and there was a Mario cartridge looking very out of place in a WWF No Mercy box. Yeah. Nothing else was said, at least not to me, but he knew I ratted on him.
That's funny.
However, even though I can remember this story, I cannot remember the summer of, quote, living hell he promised me if I told on him. Therefore, I think it was worth it. Merry Christmas, guys. I hope Santa brings you something nice.
Stop.
Smiley face, Sam.
I love
so
that.
Adorable.
That was so good.
Fun.
I love the idea that Dad was like, I imagine him looking in the mirror, just like practicing
it.
Open it.
Not trimming the mustache, just that he has like a real gravitas to him.
Yeah.
Open it.
Open it.
I want to have you read the Hannah story.
Hannah?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Hannah B.
A porta-potty?
Yes, I wasn't going to say the whole thing until
cool.
we got permission
That's
to.
fine. Okay. Yeah, we have permission to use her name.
Amazing. Whenever you're ready.
Hello, Maya and Grant.
Oh, is that why you're looking at me? Is that why you looked at me? She probably cut this. Why you looked at me for 5 hours before you started the story? She cut it. It was messed up. It's 3 a.m. now. You should know by now. I'll just lie if I need to win. Like, that's not an issue.
I know, you just told me how you would punish this, like, child. Psychologically.
You how the Grinch stole Christmas hymn, and I denied him of the opportunity of being rewarded for his lying. Those are different things.
Sure, if you say so. Hello, Maya and Grant. I love her reasoning. Parentheses, I've picked a side. Sorry, Grant.
I love that you hadn't read it until you had only seen that your name came first, and you were like, Grant's going to hate this.
I can respect your honesty, Hannah.
I picked a side. Hannah started off right away like, I can't be bullied. There's one I like more. I didn't want to choose, but if you're going to make me choose, I pick mom.
As you should, Hannah.
I mean, as we've covered so far this would, you're going to have a weird relationship with your mom, but that's fine. Good.
But I will send you stickers. Probably. Maybe in like one business year once I get around to it. Okay. My name is Hannah and my pronouns are she, her. You can use my name and pronouns. Anyways, like many people during the pandemic, I picked up a hobby known as running. I did plenty of virtual races and received shiny medals in exchange. Parentheses, collecting shiny medals is the #1 reason I've kept running to this day and have a dedicated wall to display my medals. Also, it's a great way to bring up that I have run a marathon. Close parentheses. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, we get it. That's actually what those medals are for. It's that way you can talk about it.
I was actually so mad when Sophie got the medal for running the half marathon because I was like, I paid for that.
What about when Lydia got the medal?
I try not to think about that one.
That story is so funny. It feels like an Arrested Development
it
plot
really
line.
does. It really does. The fact that she beat everyone
Lydia.
because she literally cheated. She literally cheated.
My favorite part is her entering the course and having to run because everyone else is actively running at the part, but everyone else is sweating and she's like, phone.
Yeah, she was fine. She was so fine.
And she hadn't even meant to re-enter the course. Like you'd write it for like a Parks and Rec skit.
This
like
could go in our book.
Oh my God, it absolutely should.
Write that down. Write that down. Okay, back to the story. Back to the actual story. I signed up for an in-person 10K race. Race day came, and I was milling nervously around the starting area, staring enviously at the people who had brought those shiny emergency blankets to keep warm. I was shivering in my, parentheses, cute, shorts. Clearly, I had a lot to learn about in-person racing and made a mental note to bring one for my next race. Little did I know I was going to learn a difficult, wildly more important lesson. I shuffled over to the porta-potty lines with the other runners. I had grown up playing a sport that required a lot of travel for tournaments, so I was no stranger to doing my business in some gross places. I held my breath and got things over with as quickly as I could. It was after I got out of the porta-potty that the trouble started.
No, I'm so nervous. I'm stressed out by this story.
I had noticed a family in the lines next to me made up of a mom, dad, and 3 teenage girls. Miraculously, all 3 teenagers were excited to be awake before dawn and to run with their parents. Parentheses, wild. Teenage me would never.
I love my
parentheses, open parentheses.
Good. Before we get to the next parentheses, I love my sister-in-law. That is so well documented on this.
Yeah.
She's the one that got us to sign up for the 5K. This year, and then come that morning, did not want to go. Was like, this was a mistake. Why did I want to be this person? I've never wanted to be this person.
I've never related to Taylor more.
I hate running. How did I forget that? And then we're there and it's cold and she was like, this is the worst thing that's ever existed ever. And then at the end of it, she was like, this is okay. Fun. Yeah.
That's literally me. That's every experience I've ever had running.
And you know who I am at the entire time, start to finish.
It's just a great day.
I love it so much. Oh my God, how fun. This is going to be so great. I had to wake up anyways. Might as well wake up 4 hours earlier.
I'm so tired of you. So end parentheses, open parentheses, I bet they're a turkey trot family. Yeah. By the time I got out of the porta potty, all but one of the teenage girls were done and waiting with their parents to the side. No sooner had I noticed this when the missing teenager burst out of a nearby porta potty screaming, "Mom!" at the top of her lungs. "Mom, I dropped my phone down the toilet. What should I do? How do I get it out?"
No, you don't.
That phone has been sacrificed. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that phone is gone.
Like, you don't want it back.
No.
You don't.
No.
You don't.
Oh my God.
Honestly, what a
you
fun
could never
way
clean that enough
to start again.
Yeah.
To start again.
Yeah.
You touch your phone in your face 1,000,000 times a day.
Don't.
Couldn't it?
That's gone. That's gone. As you can imagine, this brought other conversations to a screeching halt as everyone in earshot turned their attention.
That's so children
to the unfolding drama.
So children.
That's me immediately. I want you to know I am probably already listening to this conversation by the time everyone else is like leaning in. The number of times Casey will say something to me and I'm like, sorry. And he's like, oh, are you listening to that conversation? I'm like, yeah, you'll never guess her mom. Like, her mom has like been doing this crazy, and her mom's friend has.
And I'm there too because I have this crazy teacher hearing. Yeah. So I can kind of echolocation to anywhere in the room.
It was us at Hot Pot that one time.
What I was going to say. When you and I just kind of both put down our chopsticks to not make any extra noise.
And we were like just listening.
Tuned in. Inside every Hot Pot is 2 girls. We should do Hot Pot again. It's cold. We should do Hot Pot.
We should.
Now.
I need to bring Casey.
Yeah.
Because he's now had Hot Pot with me at home. My mom got me this thing that does shabu shabu, the Japanese version of Hot Pot. And so we did that like a month or so ago, but now I need to take him to
You bring your husband,
place.
I'll bring my wife, we'll go to Hot Pot.
Is that Lydia?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Because you're already going to be there.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Barbie.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay.
See, I'm not avoidant for women. I just don't want to date them.
Yeah. And therein lies the problem.
I know.
Yeah. Okay. All the other conversations came to a screeching halt. A woman in her late 50s turned to the girl and said, "Oh, honey, don't bother trying to get your phone back. The same thing happened to me a few years ago, and believe me, even if you could reach it, you do not want it back after where it's been." This did not reassure the girl.
Oh, no.
"You don't understand. My license and debit card are down there, too."
Oh, God.
Apparently, she had one of those phone cases that doubled as a wallet.
That's also so classic. Like, I only have a debit card. I don't have a credit card, which feels more reckless somehow. But okay.
Yeah. Mom and dad agreed that the phone was unretrievable. Now the teenager was upset for a whole different reason. She wouldn't be able to listen to music while she ran. That is
Oh, yeah,
actually
that is
traumatic.
fair.
I would
That is
actually
fair.
not run that race at that point.
Okay, well, that sucks. Mom, give me your phone.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I'm gonna meet you at the coffee shop after. I cannot
Oh no,
run.
Mom! I'm taking your phone to run.
Yeah. If you want me to run,
I don't know
need
what
someone
you
else's
need to
phone.
run, but
Yeah.
what you didn't need was motherhood.
Yeah.
Because I'm now I need
I need it. I need your phone. Exactly. Okay. A few things went through my head in rapid succession. Number 1, I'm so glad that's not me. Number 2, wait, has this happened before? How often do people drop their phones down a porta potty toilet?
100%.
Is this something I need to worry about?
Have you ever seen one in the porta potty when you go?
I try my best not to look down there.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
As a person who stands sometimes,
Oh, yeah,
you'll
you
see it
have
and
to.
you're like, oh,
That sucks.
yeah, very funny though.
Yeah. Number 3, the no music thing sucks. Number 4, let me just make sure that my phone is in my running belt.
Oh, yep.
Parentheses,
yep.
it was.
Okay.
Number 5, how do you get a replacement driver's license? Do you have to explain what happened to the old one?
Yeah,
I
think so.
love this level of shower thoughts. I just want you to know,
I
Hannah,
have
the
a
number of
Patreon
times
story.
I consider just recording my random ass thoughts that I have while driving and sending it to probably Grant. I don't know.
I think about that too because I refuse to learn how to log back into Snapchat. So I
know.
just send videos of my thoughts to people sometimes. 'Cause,
I
like,
love getting
platforms are
Haydens.
fun.
You need to
Yes.
just figure out how to
Okay.
log into Snapchat
Just
just
to
for
get
Haydens
Haydens.
because they're really funny. And I don't check Snapchat often, so I get them like once a month, and it's just like, oh, she was in Italy, and being drunk talking
She
about this.
absolutely looks like a girl who's going to be all right in New York right now. Like,
Yes,
she's having the time of her
100%.
life.
Okay. Now every time I use a porta potty at a race, I double check that my phone is zipped up in my running belt and think of that poor teenage girl. I also tell myself that no matter what happens during the race, there's no way it could be worse than the race that teenager had to run.
The gift of
The
perspective.
end in
That's
parentheses.
it.
Yeah, that's it. That
The
was
gift
good.
of perspective is really, really powerful, really strong.
It's true. Yeah.
Second, the children are still learning who I am and the way that you know who I am.
I'm so
And
excited to meet them, by the way.
You should. They're fascinating creatures. Fascinating. Just ask Lydia. She can fill you in.
I know. Yeah.
At one point, someone was like, "Oh, mister, was that your golden years or whatever?" After I told a story. It was like kind of like as a funny little dig. It
Yeah.
wasn't like too serious or anything. And I was like, "Oh, I'm in my golden years right now." And do you know why I know that I'm in my golden years right now?
Why?
I have a gratitude practice. And then 2 rows back, one of my seniors pops up. Wait, are we talking about gratitude journals? And I was like, we are talking about gratitude journals.
No.
And then I explained the completely unhinged thing that I do.
Yeah.
That I don't know if I've ever
Oh.
shared out loud on the podcast before.
Is it the pyramid thing? Because I'm pretty sure you have.
I have definitely talked about
Okay.
that.
I think
no.
about that a lot, and it does worry me.
Where are you that you, like, were you for me or were you for you?
Worried for people.
Okay.
I don't know.
Keeps me like very mellowed out.
I mean, that's fine.
Very mellowed out.
That's what keeps me mellowed out is half a gummy. So
And what keeps me mellowed out is the knowledge that I have not expressed outward anger in like 3 years. The face you're making.
doesn't seem healthy. I don't know.
Just don't
Sure.
I don't know if yelling's productive. So,
Okay.
there's something about boundaries.
Sure.
Anyways, so then I explained to the kids, in addition to this gratitude practice,
Yeah.
I'll do this other completely wild thing.
Yeah.
And I know I've told this to you, but this is probably news to them. Sometimes when I go on my hot girl walk, which is dedicated a lot to the gratitude I have for my own life.
You just think about your friends.
Yes. And what I want for them. And it's always what they want. And so I'll just spend a little bit of time. And if it's like, if I have any karmic, or like universe energy right now, like I would really love for like blankety blank to find blankety blank, or for such and such to break for so and so.
I want to make fun of you, but I don't want you to stop doing that for me. Someone has to do it for me.
Do you know what's so wild? Seeing as it's the Christmas season and
Yeah.
all, there are times where I go, am I praying?
I'm I mean, a little bit.
I know.
Yeah.
And that's how you know you can never really get the Lutheran trauma out of you.
Well, there's some truth to manifestation.
Sure. Yes, I think it is. And I love the people in my life so much that I want them to be super
so
happy.
Fucking cute.
But I feel like I am microdosing prayer. And since I'm in my 30s, I am keeping a real close eye on like the encroachment of like rebirth into religion. You know, as people kind of get into the later half of their life, they're like, okay, better start getting serious about this whole afterlife thing. Yeah. Like I'm just kind of keeping an eye on that, my principles.
You and I have a deal to meet up in hell. If you leave me, I swear.
Oh, baby, I don't believe in an afterlife.
Okay, I know, but like we're both in agreement that if we're wrong and there happens to be one, you and
because who else is going to request the Cher Christmas song? DJ, turn it disco on.
You and I would get on so well with like probably
Everybody.
A lot of the demons,
Yes.
and especially Satan. I mean that in the most lighthearted way. If you're really religious, don't pretend I
Literally
didn't say
all of my
anything.
exes, probably a decent chunk of yours, and that's where the whole friend group's going to be anyways.
Yeah.
So, well,
Yeah.
except for, but who
Yeah.
knows where he's going?
Purgatory. Purgatory. 100% purgatory.
Oh, are we bad people? I needed you to be faster. I'm praying, so I know I'm not.
I think about that a lot. The answer is I don't know.
Oh, good.
Well, I don't think
Okay, one more story before I have another listener episode.
Yeah.
Listener.
Another listener episode.
Yes, listener story.
Yeah, there
We
it
could
is.
make it into the episode.
Okay.
At Friendsgiving, Maya and I sat next to each other. And since none of our friends are here when we record, especially Patreon, and like Lydia listens, a couple people listen a little bit, and they're supportive and they listen to our stories, like as we tell them outside, but they already get so much of us, and we respect that.
Truly, I don't
Right.
fault them for that.
But I mean, sometimes I will just do something and it will produce, like kind of a response like this out of Maya, and it doesn't make any sense. So I think at one point I looked at you and I went, I mean, could you pass the potatoes? And like she's like rolled over onto the floor and pissing her pants, and I'm laughing a bit more controlled.
Everyone else is
but,
silent,
like
though, is the
silent
thing.
and staring.
I don't
at
know
us.
how to tell them, like, I don't have the time.
And what's so funny, and we got so many videos of this over Thanksgiving, and Christmas is in like a week and a half, so
Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to get them again.
More, yeah.
But the person who did the shrimp monologue from Shark's Tales to her entire family, like I'm essentially doing that just to you, and no one else gets it. But here's the thing. I'm old enough now that I want a little shock and awe in my performance art, okay? And that's what we're serving. You came to a dinner and you don't understand the art that's being performed. You're welcome. Okay?
Yeah, now you can think about it.
Do you know how hard it is for gay bars to hit that kind of like obscurity, right? Everything's understood these days. You're not welcomed.
I just watched Trixie perform Defying Gravity as
Well, she's a
Gypsy Rose.
professional.
I know, and that there's just so many layers to that performance. So good. So good. She like stands up right before it. So if you care to find me.
And she has a knife.
Yeah. So funny.
Up next.
I'll have to cover Gypsy Rose Blanchard at some point.
So for privacy reasons, they would not like us to use their name.
Okay.
This is also a heads up, and I'm scanning it. They mentioned that they might use their actual name in the story, so we'll have to switch it out. So Maya, heads up for the edit.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a random female name. She, her pronouns.
Chrissy.
Chrissy? Yeah. Cool. Hi, Graya. Just in huge, bold caps.
Fair enough.
So as to not pick a side at all in the slightest.
I mean, I feel like you kind of did, but that's
right,
fine.
GRA, but what's fine. I mean, sorry, GR, shared custody of the A.
Yes.
My pronouns are she, her, and my anonymous name is going to be Chrissy. I'm a longtime listener and lover of the pod. I first came across you guys last year when I saw a clip of Grant talking about the wide spectrum of political views his family has and the best way to derail
the turkey.
Right, what an exceptionally odd thing to say.
At Thanksgiving, yeah. That was a good one.
His family has, and the best way to derail anything they say at family dinner is to respond with, "That's a wild thing to say
just
at
said, yeah.
Thanksgiving," or something along those lines. Laughing face, laughing face. I thought you might be interested in my story for Christmas naughty or nice listener episode. And this sort of definitely falls into the naughty category. They all do.
Yeah. I mean, they all kind of do,
All of it has. All of it has. Well, I guess mine was kind of nice. I don't know if we have the emotional capacity for that right now, though.
Yours was kind of nice.
Dr. Ruth.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You did naughty, I did nice.
I thought you were talking about like listener stories, and I was like,
No, all of the listener stories have been naughty. Hi, I'm anonymous. Here's an unhinged thing I did once, and you're watching Disney Channel.
da, 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 da. That's not the Disney Channel.
Sometimes I'll be up on stage in my classroom and a kid will say something, and it just leaves the entire room quiet, and I'll go, and you're watching Disney Channel. And then I'll do this, and it cracks everyone up and saves the kid.
We should do that as a TikTok.
100% we should.
Just like try and draw it, see what happens. That'd be pretty good.
I bet you would be.
Thank
and
you.
I'm sure you have a Harry Potter wand we can use.
I don't.
Really?
I don't. No.
Fascinating.
Kelsey does though. Kelsey has multiple.
Sorry, this next sentence is very much us coded.
Yeah.
So please gather around as I tell you a story of, and now this is, oh my God.
Oh no.
This is the title of their story. And so they put it appropriately, capitalizing the first letter of every word. So gather around as I tell you the story of how I got robbed by a hooker.
Nice. Nice. Oh my God.
Before we get into the details, please know, dear listener, that this hooker was not mine.
That was a really crucial question. Thank you for
So
clarifying.
funny though, I knew it wasn't. I knew in a way it was like it was a random intersection of the two. In the early months of 2020, literally 2 weeks before shit hit the fan, I moved out of my parents' house into a basement suite with my boyfriend and a roommate who is a mutual friend. Literally could not think of a worse combination for what was about to happen.
That's wild.
Chrissy, I'm very proud of you. I hope you lived through that experience. Doubt the relationship did. I don't know. I'll find out if I'm wrong.
So much social anxiety.
If it didn't, we understand. But so with my boyfriend and a roommate who was a mutual friend, but had been my boyfriend's friend for far longer. So boyfriend had been friends with them longer than.
Yeah, sure.
When we originally moved in, my family bought us housewarming gifts and items to help us settle in, as I was the first and eldest child to move out. So like housewarming gifts.
Yeah.
And one of these items is a super cool, large, dice-shaped candle holder that sits on my coffee table, given to us by my younger brother. Important for the story later.
Dice-shaped candle holder.
Yes.
Okay.
A series of words the universe has never said out loud before, but cool, large, dice-shaped candle holder.
Yeah.
A couple of months after moving in, I came home from work and things felt off. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but I noticed that my dice was missing from the coffee table. Didn't think too much on it until I went to the bathroom to remove my makeup and noticed my makeup remover was missing.
No.
And so was my hairdryer.
No.
My flat iron. Random makeup items.
Yeah, what?
Hair and skin products. My razor, and then in parentheses, ew, what the f***?
Yeah, that's cheap enough. I feel like it's worth pawning off something else to buy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I found one of my shirts, which had been hanging on the drying rack in the hallway, shoved into the back of the vanity.
Oh.
In a panic.
Sorry.
In a panic, I called my boyfriend and told him what had happened. He was equally as confused and upset, and then hung up to call our roommate. I hid out in our room, trying to figure out if anything was missing, and waited to hear back from him. Later, when my boyfriend and roommate both got home, I got the full story about what had happened. Earlier that day, our roommate had made the not so smart decision to enlist the services of a young woman to help him with his loneliness. That's a very gentle and kind way of putting that. Chrissy, well done.
Yeah.
Well done. On her way out later, she decided to raid our bathroom and living room of anything she could fit into her bag, which happened to be all of my stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Dice included.
No.
Which also, like, the fact that you're being so kind, even though you got robbed. Yeah. And also, and so sorry that your roommate was lonely, kind of a supernatural outcome from that interaction when you do it at your home.
There's no shame on sex workers here. I want that to be clear. But there is shame on sex workers or anyone who then robs you.
Yes. And I'm really glad that we have said this before I even had the chance to read the next couple of things.
Perfect.
First, in parentheses, our landlord has a security camera at the front of the house, and you can see her trying to hide the dice under a large coat.
Oh my gosh.
Back to Chrissy.
Yeah.
I fucking lost it. I was enraged by his carelessness, stupidity, and lack of regard for us.
Why would you leave someone alone in the house?
Why? Yeah. For even a second.
Yeah.
Why would you bring that?
Like that, like it's a stereotype kind of for sex workers to rob you afterwards. But it's another thing, like, even if I just met someone, I'm not leaving them alone in my house unless I deeply trust them.
Earlier in this episode, you were like, why don't people also know where you live, Grant? And it's like, yeah, I don't bring people to my home all that often because I like to keep distance, but also because I don't want to get robbed. And I know that's like a callous thing to assume about a stranger. But
you never know.
Right. But you never know. Yeah. Right. It also, like, a hookup could have done it. Probably less likely to do it, but also could have done it. Yeah. The lack of regard for us. He was also upset, but more with himself and very apologetic about everything. He paid me back for everything that was stolen and apologized heavily and consistently for weeks. A week after the incident, I had to let go of my anger a bit because I was turning into a pretty vindictive bitch.
I relate to you so much right now, Chrissy. The number of times I've had to be like, okay, it's been a month. We gotta stop, man. We gotta stop.
And I relate to you too so much. Not to give myself a compliment here, but you know that
not to give myself a compliment. Immediately give self-compliment.
Well, I said I'm not to do it, but now I have to. Remember Little Women, Greta Gerwig's version?
Yes.
Laura Dern
is
talking to Saoirse Ronan.
Yes.
And she's like, Mom, you're never angry. I wish I was like you. And her mom says, honey, I'm angry every day of my life. I pause the movie at that line every single time. So I also, in a different way, really understand what you're talking about as well.
It's like the Hulk.
Yes. I was turning into a pretty vindictive bitch. In parentheses, this alter ego is, oh, good for you. You picked it without even knowing. This alter ego is named Caitlin. So there's Chrissy and Caitlin.
Nice.
Because in my experience, most Caitlins are bitches. I think that's
I'm not going to confirm nor deny that sentiment.
I think that's a powerful thing you just said.
I am thinking about my own personal life.
I think that's a wild thing you just said. I think a lot of people are going to have a lot of reactions to what you just said.
Yep.
And I'm saying that's
a wild thing you just said. Yeah.
I haven't said that in a while.
That's good.
Thanks for being back there with me.
Always.
End of parentheses with the laughing face emoji. Start of another parentheses.
Amazing.
During this week, I had to call my best friend to vent. And when she asked me what was wrong, all I could shout was, I was robbed by a hooker.
Amazing.
A hooker.
Amazing. I want to be in your friend's mind.
Phone call.
Yeah,
100%. 100%.
Like, there's a moment where she's like cataloging that exact phrase so she can bring it back at the next happy hour that you guys are at together. But then she's like, okay, I need to be like empathetic or sympathetic in this moment.
Chrissy, I'm very grateful that you chose us to share this story with,
beautiful.
by the way.
Yeah.
Even though I was mad, we swore never to talk about this because we didn't want to get our roommate in trouble. Since her profession isn't legal, when all was said and done, we were able to move on from this, but we did move out after the lease was up.
Fair
and
enough,
I had to repurchase the dice-shaped candle holder so that my younger brother didn't find out. You're a good sister, Chrissy.
Yeah, you're good.
The replacement still sits on my coffee table, and nobody knows it's not the original. Anyway, it's funny now.
Have I told you about Tippy too? Do you have another sentence? Yeah, keep going.
I hope you enjoy this and can't wait to hear more about the weird, wild, and exciting stories you guys have. End of email. Go ahead.
I told you about Tippy too. My great-grandmother, I was alive for like a little bit, I think, towards the end of her life. I remember visiting her shortly before she passed. But she was a cat person, as most of the people in my extended family are. And so she had this cat named Tippy. She lived in like an assisted living facility, I think, essentially. And so she had this cat named Tippy. She was like really not doing super well. She was essentially in like hospice at this point. But then Tippy passed. And it was while some of my uncles were over, like, helping take care of her, and Tippy passed. And they were like, oh my God, we cannot tell her that her cat just died. Like, there's no scenario that we can get away with this.
No.
So they went to the shelter or like adoption center or whatever and found a cat that looked close enough.
Cats have personalities.
Yeah, to Tippy. Oh, she never realized. But so they just named this cat Tippy, like put it in the apartment.
Tippy Toe. Sorry.
No, Tippy 2. And so everyone outside of my great grandmother called this cat Tippy 2. Like number 2.
Right.
And she never knew. The cat like outlived her. So it was, and she never like, if she ever caught on, she never let on. But we always have the fact that we had a Tippy 2.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
We did the exact same thing with the neighbor's beta fish. They were gone for, I told you
Amazing.
that.
No, you didn't.
They were gone for like 7 days or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was in charge of taking care of the fish. And this neighbor was like best friends with my mom.
Yeah.
She's since moved away, but my mom and her will visit each
Yeah,
other like
yeah.
every year. It's very sweet.
Yeah.
So I came home one day, like after having like fed the dog, and whatever, and I come back and I go, Mom, the fish is dead.
Oh no.
Like, what do I do? And I'm like horrified that it died under my care.
Yeah.
And my mom gets this like evil Grinch grin.
Oh my
on
God,
her
I love
face.
that.
And she goes, is the fish still there? And I go, yeah, I didn't know what to do. And so my mom goes over, like takes a picture of it, brings me to a pet store, purchases a new beta fish.
That looks exactly like it.
Yep, cleans the tank perfectly so the fish will survive
Yeah,
to make sure it
yeah,
gets
yeah.
back. And that beta fish lived for like 12 years and didn't tell our neighbor anything until like literally we're like at the going away party. And I was like, oh, by the way, neighbor, I don't know if we ever told you this. It feels pretty silly now. But that fish actually died when you were on vacation and we replaced it. And she like threw her drink very dramatically. And she was like, I knew it looked smaller when I came back. I knew it looked smaller. And I thought, dang, this is a really long time for a beta fish to live. Almost like twice a lifetime. And my mom is cackling because she...
That's so funny.
The original beta fish had been purchased for like a school project.
Yeah.
And the neighbor, bless her soul, she was Southern. She moved back to the South to take care of parents. Neighbor, Southern, bless her heart, was taking care of it because she couldn't bring herself to like kill a living fish. And she felt responsible for it.
Fair.
And my mom just said, ×2.
So my ex-boyfriend,
Good.
is that was the end of the
Good.
story? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. My ex-boyfriend, we've talked about this a little bit. Like I left to go visit my parents for like a week and a half, 2 weeks, and he like essentially kind of ghosted me during that time. And then when I came back, he picked me up from the airport and broke up with me on the way home from the airport.
I think about that all the time when I'm breaking up with people.
Yeah. You should also think about it every time you're getting picked up from the airport because that's how I think about it.
Do you know what I'm thinking about every time I get picked up from the airport?
Yeah.
Wow, this lift is expensive.
Yeah.
Or, wow, I'm so grateful for my friends to pick me up from the airport.
Or you're like getting on a train.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, great, another hour and a half till I'm home.
Yeah. So while I was gone, I did have a beta fish in the house that I was living in, and his name was Captain Silverfins. And I loved him dearly, and I took pretty, like, he was not in the type of tank that I now know a beta fish should live in. It was like a classic like goldfish style tank, but he had like enrichment stuff. He had like little like toys he could play. It was like my way.
A single mom who works
Yes.
2 jobs.
It was before I could before I got Monet, and so it was really my way of like having a pet before I was like technically like before my mom. Coincidentally, after this breakup, my mom was like, "You should get a dog." You should talk to your therapist. Like, you need a dog. And like, to be fair, I was in the same
Mo
boat.
was your mom's idea.
My mom, it was approved by my mom. Like, it was
Okay.
kind of my idea of like, I think I need a pet because like emotionally, Monet is an emotional support dog, technically, for those of you who don't know. But I came back from Florida visiting my parents, and that beta fish that my ex was supposed to take care of, the water was like down essentially to the bottom, and he was still alive, but like barely, you know? And need I remind you, I walked into my room about an hour after he had broken up with me. Sitting in the airport, he breaks up with me. We then have to
sitting in your
drive.
car on your way out of the airport.
Yeah,
right?
he breaks up with me. 50 minutes to get home. I get my suitcase, get up, get into my house. I found out that this beta fish is like on death's door. And so I can't unpack, I can't do anything. I immediately then have to go and like clean out the tank and like refill it, and like he doesn't survive. He doesn't make it. So anyway, my ex killed my betta fish. I had another story that I was going to say after that, and I don't remember what it was.
Did I tell you the story of my friend, coach of speech and debate? Kids are on the spectrum.
Yeah.
That's how she starts off the story.
Perfect.
And she said her kids were recently making a rock slide in her like aquarium or whatever. And it caught one of the fishes and like pinned him, like a tiny little fish, but like pinned him. And then like by the time she realized what they were doing and what was happening, because they're kids. It's like, I think
they don't know. Yeah.
I think the oldest is like maybe 4.
Oh, yeah.
She was like trying, and it's like, oh, it's dead. Like it floats up to the surface immediately.
Oh, God.
And you know, she doesn't know what her kid's reaction is going to be. It's like the first pet they've ever lost.
Yeah.
She's telling this to a room of coaches at like 7 p.m. one night as like a tournament wraps up.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh no, like looks like Fishy died. Like looks like Fishy didn't make it. And her kid was, oh, okay. Dear Lord, please best Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln!
And the way she tells it, she goes, you know, parenting is full of surprises, but one thing about having kids on the spectrum is they're not always going to have the kind of emotional reaction that you think they're going to have. Kids like over it right away.
Abraham Lincoln. Oh, this was the other story I was going to tell. Abraham Lincoln?
So good, right?
That's genius.
I know.
Did I tell you about the time I was house sitting for Mime Tyler?
Go on.
I was house sitting for
I've met this person once, maybe twice in my life.
Yeah.
And it's like if we
love him.
If we went to college together, he'd be our campus celebrity that we never interacted with.
Yes.
Which is I love that we all have that concept.
Yes, it's so true. Like he had, and it's like, it's not even that he's like popular and he's like, oh my God, like everyone look at me. He's like just the person that everyone knows a little bit about.
Right.
And that little bit is the craziest thing you've ever heard in your life. I was house sitting for him and his family. It was early college for me, I think. He went to a different college. So this was like a high school relationship that I had developed with his parents. And so his parents asked me to house sit because they also have goats. They have 2 dogs, 2 elderly dogs that need like medications. They have like 4 goats and like a bunch of chickens. And it was honestly fun for me, especially after like I had just sold my horse, I think, at this point. So I was like kind of like
missing farm work.
Well, enjoying like being able to take care of animals that weren't like dogs, essentially. And so I was enjoying it, whatever. And I was actually with that ex that killed my betta fish at this point. But he slept over with me a couple times at this house, and I would have to go in and feed the chickens every couple days. I had to go feed the goats, or not the chickens every couple days, but like refresh their water every couple days, feed them every day. So I'm feeding the chickens every morning. I walk in, and then about like day 5 or something, I notice that there's this one chicken that like hasn't moved in the last 3 days.
Oh no!
I saw it. I saw it day 1, and I was like, "Oh, that's weird. It's not moving away from me."
It's a shy chicken.
Well, no, I was like, "It's not moving away from me," because usually they all kind of like scatter once I come into the coop.
Oh no!
And this one doesn't move, and I'm like, "Okay, whatever." Like maybe he's just like confident, and I don't need to go near him technically to refill the food and water. The next day I come in, I'm like, "He's still in the same spot." Maybe like that's where he waits for his food. The 3rd day, I'm like,
that chicken's dead.
I was like, that chicken's not moving. That chicken's in the same spot. And so I like get a little close, like the same thing you would do with a spider, you know, you're like just like to see if it's like gonna move away. Like
Lydia once let a spider live in her bedroom for a week.
I would do
like
the same thing.
Free range.
I lived in the basement during high school of my like parents' house, and the number of spiders I had to be like, all right, you don't fuck with me, I don't fuck with you. Yeah.
We're cool, right?
Yeah, literally. But so I like touched this like chicken with like the tip of my boot or something, and it just like flops over.
It's like dead.
Yeah, and I like text Tyler and his family. They're in Italy, and I'm like, so I think one of your chickens died, because I didn't know how to be like, I killed one of your babies. Like I don't know what to do. And so they were like, it's okay. Like you can put it in like a trash bag and like put it in like one of the trash bins, and we'll take care of it. And so I made my ex come over and do that. And he picked it up like dog poop. You know, you like take the bag inside out and like do that. Ironically, those chickens hadn't produced any eggs any of the times that I had been house sitting for them, but they did produce eggs the first couple days after that chicken was like, the dead chicken was taken out, which is interesting.
Oh, so as soon as their dead friend was removed,
they were like, oh, that's a lot of stress out of me. Yeah.
Thank you for
You're
that
welcome.
honesty and
You're
that
welcome.
candidness. One more story?
Yeah, sure. This is from our friend Angela. She, her. Hey, gang. I just finished listening to episode 81 and wanted to share some stories from my Peace Corps days.
Yes, absolutely you do.
So sorry for this being so long. Just know that I laughed. Parentheses, after the fact. If you don't know about the Peace Corps, thank you, Angela, for explaining for us because I didn't know how I was going to do it. The Peace Corps, it's a program through the Department of State that sends Americans to participating countries to become volunteers in a wide range of fields, though usually education. My journey to the Peace Corps began when I was in my third year of college and having a late night existential crisis, like you do, about never leaving Indiana.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way Grant just like sat up. Okay. So while
I'm like, I got to get closer to the mic.
yeah. So while my friend and I were supposed to be working on essays on the library computers, I opened up the Peace Corps website and applied to go to the first country I had never heard of. I remember asking my friend if he'd ever heard of the Republic of Moldova, but he was too absorbed in Drag Race to answer me.
That's a good friend, especially in Indiana.
I think you're thinking of one type of Drag Race.
I forget there's a second type people watch.
Because I had the exact same reaction in my head.
Oh, isn't there like the Indianapolis 400, 500, 600 in Indiana?
Possibly.
Sure.
I don't know.
They
I don't
drive-
know. She also, I don't think, elaborates on which kind of drag
Famously
race.
crossroads of America. Yeah. So maybe it's the original kind of drag race.
Sure. Two of Indiana's finest teaching candidates hard at work.
If it's a teacher, it's the first kind of drag race. It's the kind we understand.
Okay. The story leading up to leaving for the Peace Corps is kind of a fun one, but not the story I am telling today. No, this story happens 2 years later when I am well established in my new home, a host family in a village called, pronounced Yadin-Yates? Yadin-Yets.
In Moldova.
Yes.
Okay.
It's spelled Edinet. But she then says Yadin-Yets. Thank you for giving us a pronunciation guide.
Thank you, Angela.
Sometimes I do that for myself in my episodes, and then I forget what I meant in that pronunciation guide,
Yep.
and then I try and read it, and I'm like, nope, still doesn't make sense. So Yadin-Yets. As a volunteer in a relatively remote location, there's a very good chance you are the only American these people will meet for a while, parentheses, or possibly ever. So Peace Corps has made...
Sorry, just real quick. If that is you, just as a PSA, you are, as part of the Peace Corps, required to play them Cher's Christmas song. DJ Turn.
It's cold out there,
but it's warm in here. You knew what was coming, and you still left. I love you.
I did not
Thank
know
you.
what was
Really?
coming in that situation, no.
You're like, Grant teaches civics. Like, he probably knows the requirements of the Peace Corps. And I'm just like,
Share.
glow sticks, whistles, DJ.
Okay, so Peace Corps has many rules for us to live by. Some of those are no driving motorcycles, no public intoxication, no traveling.
Sorry.
Yeah, defend yourself.
No, you know who I am. I know who you degenerates are. Like, I don't need to defend myself.
No traveling outside of the country without prior approval. Be at post and act like a professional, etc. Reasonable.
Sure.
However, what about looking cool in front of your students or not wanting to disappoint your host family or going stir crazy? Thus, within a 3-month period, I broke basically all of these rules and told the Peace Corps about it without them knowing. Well, I have questions. I assume we're going to find out. Well, let's be honest. I broke the public intoxication one a lot in caps. I was 22 and Moldova has a drinking culture. There are many stories of volunteers in Moldova being a little too wild while drinking. It's part of the former Soviet bloc. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Bloc? Okay. And known for its wine and cognac. Hell, Teacher Appreciation Day every year was nothing but a huge party of this entire staff getting drunk
Hell yeah, brother.
and being given flowers by the students. It's a tradition that I am super sad the U.S. doesn't have.
Same.
Because this was the best bonding I did with my Moldovan counterparts. I taught them how we took shots in America. My Romanian was more fluent, and my Russian was hilarious to them. Parentheses, you had to know how to tell a cabbie off in Russian if you didn't want to be harassed there. Nice. Back to the story. One day in the summer, Parentheses, so I truly could not tell you which day. Grant gets it.
Yeah. She doesn't mean like date. She means like day of the week.
Yeah. Dear listener, if you want to know what it's like to schedule recording sessions with Grant over the summer, damn near impossible. You could give him a date or a day. He doesn't know.
It's 100% that scene from The Grinch, which I'm sure we all just watched, which is like 4:30, wrestle with myself, loathing, 5 o'clock, jazzercise, 7:30, solve world hunger, tell no one, 8 o'clock dinner with myself. I can't cancel that again. That really, really is what summer with me is like.
The new version?
I've forced many people to watch it.
We've gotten a lot of comments that people want us to riff on the healthcare CEO.
Oh, yes.
Tune in to the end of this story and maybe we'll get to it.
It just feels like such a rapidly developing story.
It does. But we'll riff on it. I can edit it in post if we need to. Okay. Back to the story. One day in the summer, Grant gets it. My host family told me that we were going on a picnic. Fun. So I helped put together plates and food while my host dad put things in the van. Red flag number 1. Once we had everything, my host mom, sister, and I got into the back of the van. Red flag number 2. This is not a minivan.
Oh.
This is not pudding.
Good Grinch reference, thank you.
This is not a minivan. No, this is a work van. You know, the white ones without windows and an open back. Not connected to the front seat. So I sat in the back on a rug with these women in the absolute dark, and we drove. We drove for 20 minutes. First on the roads of the village, and then we went off-roading, parentheses, red flag number 3.
Part of me is like, surely they wouldn't care to kill an American Peace Corps worker.
No.
Right?
Yeah, no. When the door opened again, I had no idea where I was. But the woods looked nice, and my host family...
woods, sorry.
The woods looked nice.
Oh my God. Is this what it sounds like when I tell you about my desert hiking stories?
A lot of the time,
You got in the four-wheeler, Grant. What are you talking
like, what
about?
do you mean? What do you mean? What does it mean?
I was going to outrun it, so can't beat him, flirt with him.
I had no idea where I was, but the woods looked nice, and my host family was getting things out to sit next to a lake. We ate and had a good time, but after about an hour, we ran out of beer, so I went with my host sister to go buy more. When we made it back to the town, it looked different from my village, red flag number 4, but I didn't think anything of it. We went into the store and I offered to pay. When I brought out my money, the cashier told me no. Red flag, in all caps. Number 5. I was confused. It was supposed to be 20 lei, parentheses, the name of their money. The cashier let me know that my money was Moldovan. I, not understanding, said, yeah, duh, parentheses, but in Romanian. And we stared at each other for a few minutes. I was not giving up and giving her more money. I was sticking to my guns and not going to be taken for a ride before my host sister saved the day and let me know that we were no longer in Moldova. Instead, we had crossed the border into Romania.
There's a lot of international borders out there that are shockingly easy to cross into. Trust me, I know.
Okay, where was I? Okay, this helped make sense why she had a different accent and why things looked a little different. Coming from America, I had never imagined a porous border. And knowing that I had been basically smuggled into another country threw me for an absolute loop. I kind of freaked out and said something like this to the cashier, who was alarmed because not only was I babbling, I was doing it in half Romanian and half English. Upon returning with the drinks, I asked my host mom what was going on. I wasn't allowed to leave the country. She knew this. Had to sign a document saying she knew this. She had to sign a document saying she knew this. Her response: you gotta live a little.
We're barely in another country.
Parentheses, in Romanian, obviously. So the party continued, and I made an Instagram post tagging myself in Romania. Facepalm. Yeah, that's
not smart.
That's a little on you.
Like, listen,
I love you. I love you.
you make that post. Now, hey, stay with me. You make that post, but then you tag the book Anthony Bourdain's Parts Unknown, and you just kind of let that be your like wink, wink, nudge, nudge without actually saying anything specifically. Also, to be young and dumb and a little drunk and fluent in Romania in a forest at a party.
Incredible.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I'm like, actually, yeah. Anyway, we headed back that evening, and because I was still a lightweight compared to my companions, had to be put in the front seat so I could hang my head outside the window in case of vomit. Well, instead of returning the way we came, we headed back via road. That meant stopping at a checkpoint with the Romanian and Moldovan border agents, and lo and behold, a random drunk American is not what they were expecting, especially one without a passport.
Right.
My inebriated brain came up with an excellent idea. And then
Run.
like hyphen. Hyphen. God, 22-year-old me was dumb. I texted my friend who lived on the other side of the country and told her to pretend to be from the American embassy when I called her.
What? Wait, hold on.
Imagine getting that call.
What if I impersonated the U.S. federal government right now?
Imagine getting the call from fucking Tyler being like, I
can.
need you to pretend
I can.
to be part of the American
I
embassy.
need you to be the cultural attaché to Greece right now. That's a shout out to the birdhouse.
Oh my God. Okay. Oh my God. I'm so excited. Jesus. You are committing so many federal crimes. I'm so obsessed.
Like, there are lines that even I wouldn't cross.
If you were a little drunk, you would.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. American embassy when I called her. I then turned back to the agents, parentheses, who my host father had been successfully talking into letting us through, and yelled/spoke in relatively clear Romanian that I was a lost American woman who had been trafficked, and this nice family was helping me get home.
Hey, sorry, real quick. I'm just going to create an international incident, if you don't mind. Just going to scooch in here real quick.
Just gonna scooch in here real quick.
Oh my God, Angela, you're so dumb. I love you so much. That's the worst thing you could have said.
This is insane. Okay, I then said I'd call the embassy and they would explain everything. Calling my friend, I basically thrust the phone at this bewildered guard. To this day, I have no idea how that conversation went, but not 15 minutes later, I had my phone back. My host father passed over some cash and we were home scot-free.
What? Hold on. Did the host father give her cash, or did the host father
give
bribe
cash
his
to
way
the
into
people?
The tough thing is, if you just tell the truth, we entered through a road that doesn't require a passport. Here's $20. Can we go through? That's probably all it takes.
That's probably all it takes. And the border agent was like, I don't know what to say to your friend.
I'm sorry. I gotta let you go. I'm taking a bribe. It's like, you don't have to LARP the movie Taken. Like, you can just kind of
say that she was trafficked. Jesus Christ!
I don't know what's worse: the causing of an international incident between the U.S., Moldova, and Romania, or forcing your friend while you're drunk to impersonate the official U.S. consulate. Amazing work.
Incredible.
Start to finish. I hope you're telling this story in the civics class, Angela.
Yeah. That's not, we're like kind of over
halfway
I thought that was
through.
The
peak.
No,
I thought that was it. I was like, Angela, perfectly told story.
No. That was my, sorry, this is a great sentence. That was my first illegal border crossing. But not my last. Yeah. 2 months later, I was with said friend from earlier. I'll call her Anne. Not her real name, obviously. She lived on the northeastern side of the country in a city also not named because ... reasons.
Okay.
And when we didn't want to tell the Peace Corps where we were on weekends, we would hang out at each other's houses instead of going to the Capitol. Hanging out together in Anne's house was fun because she was a cook, something I am decidedly not. Same. And we were able to interact with a different ethnic group in our city that was not present in my area. Parentheses, if you know anything about Moldova, you might know which groups of people I'm talking about. On this trip, we met with friends and found out they were going shopping in Odessa for fabrics. When Anne heard, she was wistful to go to Odessa. but Ukraine was not the safest place, and the Peace Corps had deemed it off limits since there was a thorough check of your itinerary and the reason for your visit was sufficient. High off of my last, quote, extracurricular adventure, I decided we should flaunt this rule and go anyway. Anne was not about this decision. Anne was like, I'm sick of impersonating the U.S. government.
If we both go, who are we going to call?
Yeah, exactly. Was not about this decision, but my cajoling eventually won her over, and she joined our friends on the ferry to Odessa. And we joined our friends on the ferry to Odessa. We went, parentheses, this time with passports in hand.
Great.
And had a great time. So great of a time, in fact, that we missed the last ferry of the night back to Moldova.
Literally so classic.
This is where, if I ever told my family these stories, my mom would start hyperventilating. Working with our friends, we tried to brainstorm what to do. I had school in the morning on the other side of the country and had to be back for that. Not to mention Anne's host mother noticing our absence all night long. Our friends had family in the city, so we went to their houses and they started working on the problem as well. Well, they had a pretty good answer for us, but we're unsure how to broach it to us. See, this family was high up in a certain organization and had, quote, friends in another popular organization throughout the region. They explained that...
See, for me, that'd be a no.
Yeah.
For me, I'd call in sick.
For Angela, she was like, I'm interested.
Okay.
Tell me more.
Good. I was kind of hoping someone would get there without me having to say it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
continue.
Tell me more. Friends are in a popular organization throughout the region. They explained that we could be taken back to the Moldovan city tonight via their friend's private boat, but it wouldn't leave until about 2 a.m. Friends, you might know what I'm alluding to here.
Your best case scenario. Best case scenario, you're entering this country with cocaine. Like that is your best case scenario. If it's a scheduled boat, there are so many worse options, including you being the only guest not imprisoned. Like, what are you talking about? You like LARPed Taken and you were like, let's do Taken 2, Too Dumb, Too Furious. Like, what? What, Angela?
Angela, I want Too Dumb, Too Furious
But
on
now-
a shirt just made for you.
But now I'm like, God, I've never snuck into a country on a cocaine speedboat
This
before.
is why you and I would be good together on a European vacation.
That's why we are good with each other on a
fair.
European
That's
vacation.
super fair. So
DJ turn the disco.
So 2 a.m. Friends, you might know what I am alluding to here, but I did not fully understand at the time, or at least I was trying to remain super ignorant. So we grabbed a quick nap, then in the dark of the night
You're able to sleep
That's
before
insane.
your drug smuggling run into a former Soviet Union country?
The way Grant couldn't even sleep before our flight to Prague.
That was different.
From
That was
London.
because of our little
Sure.
oh, it's flat. Continue.
So we grabbed a quick nap, and then in the dark of the night, went to the bank of the river and met Sergey.
Went to the bank
Of a river.
of a river.
Of the river. I am so sure that's not his real name that I don't feel bad about saying it.
I'm so sure they were lying to us because I had to wade out into a river to get onto a
That
boat.
I feel okay telling you his
I'm
name.
sorry, and I'm not a pearl clutcher. You know that's not me. You could have drowned. Like I don't know how else to put it to
Angela,
you.
I love this for you. I am hanging on to every word that
We've
you're
had
saying
a lot
right
of people
now.
writing stories, multiple international crimes in one Word document. Is
Word document is fucking insane to me.
Angela,
Okay.
you're beautiful.
This is incredible.
You beautiful, beautiful
Angela,
soul.
I'll protect you with my life, okay?
People have shared things and they're like, don't say a single thing about me. And it's like, one time I cheated on my boyfriend. You're like, hi, my name's Angela, last name, and I'm an international criminal. This is my story.
Yes. I love this next sentence. Well, Sergey looked exactly like a stereotypical Russian mobster.
No way, I would literally never want to owe them a favor ever, especially in Moldova.
I'm obsessed. You look like a stereotypical Russian mobster, red tracksuit, stubble, and smoking a cigarette. And he was standing beside a fishing boat with a motor attached. When we got closer, we saw some boxes in the boat and some rolls of fabric like the kind we had bought earlier. We got into the boat without saying a word to him. Parentheses. Once again, my Russian was just rude statements, so probably for the best.
I could tell him where to put it, but not to take care of it.
Yeah.
I had learned sorry, you're going to have to probably bleep some of this out. I had learned the word for f off, but not the word for love us.
Yes. And he piloted it to the other bank, which was something like 40 meters away. Parentheses, you can easily see the other country from either bank. We got out and helped him tug the boat up out of the river, then walked home. So yeah.
What?
I have been smuggled out of the country and now smuggled back into said country. The next morning, I missed my bus back to my village and had to hitchhike back. Something that is relatively safe in Moldova, but I would never do in the U.S. I made it back to my village by 1 p.m., missing all but one of my classes.
Yeah,
so the point of her getting back. Oh
also,
my God.
if you can see the country from the other side of the river, I need to look up this river because part of me is like, swim. Swim it, babes.
That seems so dangerous.
No, you're right.
Current?
Go with the Russian mobster instead.
I'm so scared of the water. You know this.
I guess I cut to me swimming with one arm as you're on a dinghy.
That would be me.
We'd get there though.
Yeah,
like
we
I'm
would.
so confident in my swimming abilities.
I'm such a bad. I almost drowned in the second grade.
I'm at like some store at 7 p.m. buying like fins to be able to like paddle across with. Your job, hold our clothes up so they don't get wet. So when we get to the other side and I'm naked, I can change into something. We could do it. It's already there.
We could. You're the capybara. I'm the like whatever other animal is like on top. Yeah. Perfect. I get it. Okay. I made it back to my village by 1 p.m., missing all but one of my classes. But I turned it into a very good lesson for my 10th graders as they learned conversational storytelling in English. For homework, I told them to create a fictional travel story like mine, and 2 days later, there were stories about alien mobsters and Terminators on my desk.
I love that.
So it all worked out.
Broke every single Peace Corps rule, and then you went to your Peace Corps teaching job, and you were like, time to change some kids' lives.
That's Grant's whole life.
Angela, how I know you're a teacher.
Yeah.
How I know deep in your soul you were meant for the job that you have.
Yeah. My final story is how I knowingly rode and then drove a motorcycle to impress my students. One of the other rules that the Peace Corps
standing
has.
rule she hadn't broken.
This one is pretty straightforward. On a random Wednesday in October, my village was visited by an honest-to-God traveling circus.
Wait, I was prepared for you to say 3 Ghosts of Christmas.
You could have paid me to guess what words were coming next and I wouldn't have gotten there. Class was canceled or rescheduled for 2 days while people saw the show. I went, and while not impressed, because I've seen Cirque du Soleil, I had a good time. One of the acts that impressed me the most was a motorcyclist and an acrobat. The driver would drive around the ring while the acrobatist performed, hopping on the shoulders of the driver and on the handlebars. It looked like something out of a movie, and it was something my students thought was super cool too. Well, the motorcyclist was not just into stunts for the acrobatics. On Friday, I came to school and found my students excited about a show. About halfway through the school day, I could hear the motorcycle outside. The students rushed out and the driver did stunt jumps for a half hour. After this, he asked for volunteers. My students were excited, but not volunteering. Parentheses, lots of gendered expectations here, and the boys were not willing to look unmanly. I jokingly said, I'm already a volunteer, so I could do this too. My eldest students heard this and turned on me super quick, pushing me forward and yelling that I be chosen. Apparently, I intrigued the motorcyclist, so he agreed. Hot again.
So hot.
Yeah. I was given a leather jacket and told to hang on tight. Hot again.
Hell yeah, girl. Get your tits out.
Get your tits out. Then we did 3 jumps. I thought I was going to pee my pants and crack his ribs from holding on so tight. Then when we stopped, I was pushed forward into the driver's seat while he got on behind me. He explained...
Hot thrice.
Yeah, I'm dying right now. I would read this book. I'd watch this play.
You have read this book.
Okay, don't out me like that. But yeah. I was pushed forward in the driver's seat while he got on behind me. He explained what we were going to do in Russian. I gave him a bewildered
All you
look.
heard was off.
Yeah. And replied in English, parentheses, my petty response to Russian for the 2 years I lived there. 2 of my seniors came forward and explained that I was going to drive around the block while doing a wheelie. Maya and Grant.
DJ turn the disco.
Maya and Grant, I have never done a wheelie. I tried to explain this and the fact that I did not know how to drive a motorcycle, but no one listened to me, and he pushed on my hand that was over the throttle. We thankfully did not crash into the tree I thought we were going to hit and kept going. I was not paying enough attention and accidentally set us going down the hill my school sits on, and we picked up speed quite quickly. I figured out the brakes and pulled on them, but my motorcycle buddy was not expecting me to do that, so he had been leaning back to pull the bike into a wheelie. Brakes plus throwing our weight backwards was a bad choice, and we ended up falling off the bike and rolling. I stopped rolling at the edge of the road and could hear the angry cursing of the driver somewhere off to my side. Neither of us were seriously hurt, but I did get my picture in the school paper and the regional paper with a nice cut of my face on the side. During that time I had a cut on my face, my students called me Professor Badass.
Hell yeah.
That's from our dear friend
You
Angela.
lived. You did exactly what you were supposed to do.
My cheeks hurt from like smiling through that entire story. That was
green
insane.
with envy. You're so cool, Angela. I love that so much.
The way
Green
Grant wishes he could have a story like that on the Rio Grande.
I'm about to be so much more dangerous this next year.
Angela, I'm going to need you to send an email telling Grant to not.
Wait, what am I living for still? Let's run this. Let's go.
Let's cross some international borders.
Exactly. I've always been terrified of motorcycles, and now I've realized that it's holding me back.
Yeah, fair enough.
I need to make sure that one is marked as unread. It is sweet, perfect. Well, friends, what a truly lovely time
was amazing.
that we have had. Thank you for tuning in. Oh, I can do the little speech.
Yeah, I said I was going to say something at the end, and I don't remember what it was.
Fine. Oh, I know what it is, and we're going to talk about it during Patreon, actually, instead.
Okay, cool.
Because we're talking about Luigi, the United Healthcare CEO.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I think Patreon's a better platform for some of the things I have to say.
That's fair.
So until then, friends, hey, thanks so much for listening to us. If you enjoyed this week's listener episode, you can submit stories for our next listener episode, episode 3 of Rumor Has It, coming out in 3 weeks. You can send those stories to wellilaughdpod@gmail.com. If you're looking for content on the social medias, we are Well I Laughed Podcast on virtually every platform. If TikTok still exists, find us there. And if you would like additional content for the low price of $5 a month, you can get an additional episode every week on the Patreon.
Or if you want to make us talk like we are your own personal Muppets, you can
join the growing number of people finding us on Cameo,
which is so far 1. But it was very enjoyable, and we'll say really whatever you want us to.
Yeah.
And
it's a fun platform.
It was pretty fun to record that, actually. We recorded that during Friendsgiving after many glasses of wine.
Correct. It showed. And so until then, friends, thanks for tuning in.
Okay, bye. Love you.
Bye.